It's the 27th day in the month of July. Good morning and welcome to Signature Morning on Signature Television. My name is Christopher Lele. I am so excited to start this day with you, and I hope you are too. I hope you had a great weekend and everything is going smoothly. I have with us in the studio two uncles that will be doing us justice. But let's start with Mark Ginger. The weather this morning, how did it feel for you?
Well, I think for the ENUGU marriage, it's a pleasant weather. For those of us on the ENUGU road, we can't wait for the rainy season to go away.
Okay. But we know ENUGU we need the rain because ENUGU it's not like a wetland, so to speak.
Well, another man's food is another man's poison.
Indeed.
For those who work indoors, maybe they need the rain. The weather being cool is so nice. But if you have to walk outdoors naturally, you want a dry weather.
I think Mark Ginger is going on nostalgia, thinking about newly married. But you can't eat your cake and have it. So Mark Ginger allowed the newly married to enjoy their weather while you struggle with the roads and trying to put food on your table.
Yeah.
My name is Christian Chibuzo Maduka. Welcome to another day on Signature Morning. Chris Larry?
Yeah.
The way you smile is that I suspect you a lot. And
you've
been counting down to, if this July ends and we do not get invitation card,
We need to probe.
we will buy wedding gift and everything and just give you. You can do anything you want with it. Those things they used to bath baby and all.
Yes.
We just present as a signature team morning team and put it for you.
The single guys enjoy sometimes paying my attention more than even the married guys.
Right, that's true.
I see how you smiling. No,
my counting down is to the election. I just can't wait, for us to be done with this election. We've been back and forth about the election, and of course, INEC has already suspended. The deadline has come to an end. Registration, of the voters card, right? Voters registration. So we will look into that as the show proceeds. Stay with us as we jump off for a short break to come back for the newspaper review. Don't go nowhere.
We are local.
International communities observing
Why the main market is in chaos. People are...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye. We have taken it by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Welcome. Thanks for staying with us. We'll go straight to the newspaper review. The paper on my desk right here is the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. On the Nigerian Tribune, North should trust me with presidency. Peter Obi speaking there. Rather says only inclusive leadership can truly heal Nigeria. And I like that, inclusive leadership. All right, away from that, we have power sector. Nigeria needs $228 billion in electricity investments between 2026 to 2045. President is speaking there. Nigeria well positioned in inclusive growth if reforms continue. IMF also sharing their thoughts on that. Kano, Lagos, Edo top as INEC concludes final phase of continuous voter registration. Health. Consumption of common sweeteners linked to faster decline in memory, thinking skills. That's a study there. Maybe Mark Ginger will help us with that very well. And Tinubu may meet more Oyo APC stakeholders as power tussle intensifies in Kwara, Benue. Ondo Assembly cries. I take that again. Ondo Assembly crisis deepens as speakers fight for survival. Lawmaker opens more can of worms. And 7th week of incarceration, hardest for us. Rescued or a rescue principal narrates ordeal during Thanksgiving. Hoodlums invade Ocean PVC Disruption Center. Caught away voter card. Hoodlums invade Ocean PVC Distribution Center. Caught away voter cards. That you can find on page 24 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. This is really sad. I didn't see this coming, but it's not too early. You know, this is not like the presidential election, and we're already having hoodlums cutting away voter cards. I don't know. This doesn't sit well for me. If we have a center where we know these things are, looking at how sensitive these things are, I'm not supposed to already have guards, you know, making sure that these places are safeguarded. I don't know.
Chris?
Yes.
Cutting away PVC,
Yeah.
whether it's at presidential election,
Mm.
at local government election,
Mm.
or at state governorship election, it's evil, it's anti-democratic, it's anti-developmental, it is everything negative. So let's not profile it. So if you have talks at the presidential elections who do more things, kill people, come to people's house and tell them, if you don't vote for this particular candidate, leave city. Even some people, you remember 2020 election, some people, there's still viral video of a woman who was down and bloody body because she wanted to vote for her preferred candidate. And the people in Lagos, people's shops were burnt. People boldly come on the open and said, if you do not vote for a particular candidate, you will suffer. And they made good their threats. And you're talking about cutting PVC and all that. Did you hear during Nigerian election where PVC were found in some bushes? What did INEC do? What is happening? Who is doing what? So it's like I keep saying, once the big goat is eating the folders, the small ones will be watching. So they'll be watching from state. You can now see if at the state election, whether it's local government or whatever, you know, show or whatever, you can see this. Just
imagine what the federal will look like.
Okay, you are reading my mind. And I will just say Chris Maduka said.
So to me, it boils down to what I normally say on this show and elsewhere. We have a weak, punitive approach to electoral, misbehaviors in Nigeria, and that is why people go about doing whatever they like in the name of election preparation, because at the end of the day, nobody gets punished. Nobody even gets seriously asked any questions. last election leaves a bitter taste in the mouth. And for some of us, we are not so keen to experience what played out in that last election. And the Southwest is gradually becoming a major hotbed. Well, it has been because the Wild West happened in the Southwest, which was a factor that led to the first military coup. Today, okay, in the last election, we witnessed a lot of violence in Lagos. People were not allowed to vote because they came from a particular tribe or they are suspected of intending to vote a candidate that, some people do not want them to vote for. There were people recorded who made, they declared fierce that they must vote either this way or the highway. And it has not stopped. Recently, we saw videos like that where even state government officials are saying that you can only vote this kind of person or that kind of person, or else you will not be tolerated in our community. Local government chairmen, sometimes commissioners, and even governors make statements in that general direction. And nobody is being questioned, nobody is being probed, and nobody is being punished. So when you talk about thugs doing this kind of nefarious thing, why are we calling it democracy? And I bet you that nobody will bat an eye. At the end of the day, there will not be any. So why are we bothering with going to do your PVC when a thug will walk in and seize your PVC? So a couple of years back, a cache of PVC that discovered in waters in the Imo State and so on and so forth. So
several locations.
So it boils down to the fact that in Nigeria, once it's the election, you can kill, you can maim, you can destroy property, you can stop people from voting, and nobody will ask you
Parks and all that. Who are they doing it for? The same set of satanic people that will get position under that, and McGinger is expecting them to react. A boy who is sent to go and steal by his father breaks all doors and windows with his legs. That the politicians in Nigeria, and they know themselves, empower talks. So much so. But the stupid thing. They empower talks. Once they get to position, they abandon these talks. Who become a menace to them, to the extent they can, and majorly to the rest of us who do not know anything. Because they will give them drugs, give them arms, and once they climb to the position they are struggling to get into, they will give them what they call the cyclist man's greeting, of giving them the backside, and then these people, when they see nothing else to, they will face the society, become kidnappers, abductors, hired assassins, and these people will knock on the door and turn around and say, who is knocking? Nigerian politicians are the causes of all the wahala in Nigeria, and they know it. But I wish one day they will get part of what they are causing ordinary Nigerians, because you want to get position. And that's the constitution made it so important that once you get your position and get to Abuja, things normalize. You are looking at anybody from heaven. Abuja is heaven. Some of them don't go to their constituency because they can't go. These talks, they've armed with drugs and weapons. They can't face them.
Yeah.
So, in Aluana, who is doing to who? Nigeria is lying on the ground as a goat. We are lying on our skin. And nobody, not even all these things they're calling names abroad, can come and solve this problem. We cause this problem for ourselves and go to face it.
All right. Okay, so let's check something a little bit lighter. Then it's not lighter, although it's very important. Let's talk about the health. The consumption of common sweeteners linked to faster decline in memory, thinking
Chris,
skills.
Because you like sweetness. What happened to not? You trust me with presidency.
No.
Is either not because of time. These are critical issues we're talking about. If you eat sweetener, not you love it. Is a good to you to hear that it's going to cost you wahala.
I was thinking the doctor will just help us to. But okay, we can look at the. Okay.
Let Magginda talk about react force on that. Because I don't think that the North should trust me with presidency. P2P is something that we wave out and move on.
Chris gets easily bored when we talk about the politics.
No.
The sweetener thing is any less important because that bothers on health. And I think the point here is that our diet has changed remarkably over the years due to westernization of lifestyle and maybe because of pressure on food. nowadays, and people are tilting to artificial sweeteners and all that. So our tongue has really changed remarkably, and these days people like sweeties. Myself, I'm also guilty, but the health implications of this, unhealthy consumption can never be underemphasized. So this is just the tip of what sweet food can cause, from tooth decay to increase tendency of high blood pressure to aggravation of diabetes and sugar-related disease. There's just
Does it
so
also
much.
affect libido?
Well, it could. There have been research that points to the fact that it could affect a man's sexuality, because when you consume a lot of sugar, sugar cannot be stored in large quantities in the body. It's converted to fat, and some of this fat are deposited in the walls of blood vessels, including the vessels of the sex organs, which can actually reduce blood supply and supply of because other chemicals that you need for arousal and all that, they are transported through blood. So these things can invariably cause a loss of libido or low sex drive, which is a major cause of infertility. Of course, which is we have rising cases of such nowadays. So the best advice is that one should eat healthy. As much as you can, consume natural organic food. Lesser starch as you are growing, more of vegetables and vitamins, and moderate protein consumption. Healthy eating.
My father said when a bird, flaps his wing, you can easily say where it's going to perch. No, I'm just coming. I'm coming.
Yes. He's the son of his father.
Chris,
He's the son of his father.
get involved in a serious issue.
No, we are getting to
And
that.
then
We are getting to
when he
that.
gets to sweetener, what is it? Does it affect the men's libido? And I now know why Chris is so much interested in discussing sweetener.
Are you not worried that at this
morning?
stage he's already worried about libido?
So Chris,
I'm
you
asking
have
on
had
behalf of the
it. You have
young
had it
people
from the
out there.
doctor. You've had it from the doctor. It affects libido.
Okay.
Are you okay now?
Okay.
Chris, are you really okay?
Please, I'm
Is
fine.
your libido okay?
So whether you are eating too much of sugar or not, so if you are eating too much,
I don't know,
down,
Mr. Maruka.
if-
There was this Odumejo video where someone came to church and complained that his manhood was not working. Odumejo said, "Are you married?" He said, "No." He said, "So where are you testing?"
That's why we ask Chris.
How do you know your libido is not?
I think Chris is counting down to the end of July. So maybe he wants to get everything in order to make sure his libido is in order before he gets on
Oh,
the
I didn't see this table turning back on me. So let's come back to
No,
the
they're
main
not.
issue
They're
on
not.
ground.
The P2B is saying they're not true trust. The first thing that occurred to me since the history of Nigeria, and if anybody cared to know, I grew up as a kid in this country and I've been here, I've not been anywhere. The best political alignment Nigeria that has worked in Nigeria is the one between the north and the southeast. Because if this I call it deceptive division of Nigeria has 6 regions. Whenever it's politics, you tell us it's 2, north and south, and then put us in a difficult situation. And when we talk about one tenure of 6 years that Goodluck Jonathan trumped up at that time, they killed it. So why are we putting ourselves in serious? If we have 6 regions, and Nigeria know in every 18 years of 6 or whatever, they have it 6 times 6, that the president, all the regions of Nigeria will produce presidency. I think we'll have more peace. But then let's come back to P2B asking them, if you marry 2 wives, he said if a man marry 2 wives or if a woman marry 2 husbands, you will choose. Nigerians are at a point where they know nobody need to bring tribalism, bring everything into it. The idea is that we must change for a while and say, can this work?
Okay, Maruka, sorry, just give us a few seconds. We're going off for a short break and we'll be right back. Please stay with us. We'll come back for this conversation.
We are local.
International communities Right, the main market is in chaos. People are
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye.
We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
The Ministry of Defense, Federal Republic of Nigeria, in collaboration with the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Community Engagement Southeast, invites the general public to the Southeast Regional Security Summit 2026, scheduled to hold on Thursday, 30th of July 2026. Venue, International Conference Center, Umuahia, Abia State. Time, 10 a.m. prompt. Theme, Collaborative Approaches to Strengthening Security and Regional Stability. Special guest of honor, Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio. Keynote speaker, Lieutenant General Azubike Ihejerika retired, former Chief of Army Staff. Host Governor Alex Otte, Executive Governor of Abia State, proudly supported by other governors of Nigeria's southeastern states. Convener, General Christopher Gwame Musa retired OFR, Honorable Minister of Defense, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Announcer, Planning Committee.
All right, so we're still here on Signature Morning where we are discussing the stories trending on the national dailies. The angle I want to come in from that, Peter, will be asking the North to trust his presidency. I don't think he has to tell them, you understand? Let your work speak for you, you understand? Even if I know it's important to convince people, of course.
No, it's a campaign period. You need to speak to the people. They are not magicians.
But I don't think campaign.
You don't expect for them to.
No, this is consultation
you
period.
need to really.
P2B had only been governor in Anambra State, far away from northern Nigeria. But the angle is this. I like to talk about P2B, maybe because he's probably the only candidate that sticks to issue-based campaign. I dare start by saying that the nationalist governments we've had in this country will be the Azikiwe Balewa government, the Okwueme Shagari government, and the Obasanjo, who was the vice president of Atiku Abubakar government. But recently we found the regimes being very tribalistic, especially in the most recent times, where government appointments, government activities are skewed towards a favored section of the country. Now, look at why I think P2B is saying the North should trust them, and I agree with him totally. If you look at P2B's campaign, he has emphasized on the vast arable land in the North and how it could be converted into wealth. He has talked about solving insecurity as a way of mobilizing the abundant economic energy that lies in the North. He has used comparative analysis, comparing the size of our country or the size of states in the North or the size of the regions in the North to other countries who have succeeded in turning land into wealth, into gold mine. And of course, North from the Middle Belt upwards has a lot of mineral resources embedded in their soil. We already know that these are unexploited or poorly exploited or uncontrollably exploited by non-government players. So P2B has talked about the things that could turn the North rich, because let's face the fact, today in Nigeria, when you look at the indices, the northern side of the country is the least developed, whereas the northern side of the country, according to Mr. Peter B's analysis, has the greatest potential. Because we are talking about non-oil economy. Oil economy is non-stable these days, and with increased tendency for humanity to tilt towards cleaner energy and green energy, and with climate change concerns, people are moving away from oil towards other sources of energy. And the North poses a great potential for this country. And it has a population, especially youthful population, who have remained largely illiterate. P2B is talking about improving their education, the educational exposure, and solving the insecurity problem, and turning the arable farmland into a gold mine. I think he cited the example of Norway, that has a landmass that is just a fraction of just Niger State, but is one of the largest exporters of dairy and beef-related products. He has also talked about some other countries like Vietnam, Taiwan, who have converted minimal species into great agricultural experience, and Israel just here. A country that was that is as young as 1948 ever on the map, just from 1948. Israel is a landlocked country, with very tiny, landmark, but they have turned their country. They can feed themselves sufficiently, and they export food, earning them huge foreign income from agriculture alone. So that's what P2B means, that the North, he has the best program so far for the northern Nigeria, and I agree with him that the North should trust his presidency.
What the North, like he said, he mentioned something beyond the plans he has and all. He said inclusive, and you mentioned it. In the last few years ago of APC government coming to Nigeria, I'm sorry to say this, Nigeria has been fragmented into tribalism, ethnicism, religious things that's cropped up so much and continually divide us into, look at it, and they're looking for who will say it. Look at the government, look at the positions. If you have 50 serious political appointments in Nigeria, 49 of them are from one side of the country. So, how can this country survive? And we're talking about Muslim ticket. That people have run with it the first time, for whatever reason, Nigerians were saying, okay, what we are looking for at the bottom of plate is either fish or meat. And it didn't take us anywhere. And what we are saying is, this campaign, we are not campaigning for P2B, but we hear, we see things that are happening. And we think if we have a better team, politics should be like sports.
The inclusivity that P2B is talking about there, because if you follow P2B, you see that he avoids some of these, tribal discussions or even the psychological aspect of politics. When you're talking about inclusivity here, I think he's talking about the grassroots impact of governance. Because if the people are feeling the act of governance down the grassroots, they will not really matter who holds what position. But here you have people appointed from maybe empowered from one section of the country, and nobody is really feeling the impact. That's when they begin to ask questions. Where is this person from? Why is he occupying this position? What is his qualifications? What are his track records? And that's where the tribal conversations come to play. If the presidency was doing what they're supposed to do, nobody will bother who is working with, because at the end of the day, Nigerians want a presidency that will work for Nigerians, not that will work for a few select people. So when P2B talks about inclusivity here, I think he's talking about grassroots governance, and that goes back to agricultural potential of the North, and it goes back to resources, the resource potentials of the North, diversification of our national economy.
And McGinger, I'm sure one of these days will bring you as a guest. So if we can't get P2B, we'll pick you and let's go to Vanguard. I'm sure you always always at home. I watch your mouth beaming with blessedness each time you talk about PO. Okay, let's look at Vanguard. Vanguard and the bold headline said Obi Kwakwanso is related to Mr. P2B. Obi Kwakwanso's ticket, best chance of winning by Babachir Lawal. And well, ex-SG not worthy dignifying with response. That's what APC is saying, and whatever that means, that's on the rider. But if you go up there, U.S. wants Nigeria with dual citizenship against traveling on foreign passport. That is serious. Atiku faults Tinubu's borrowing spree amid 7.99 trillion oil windfall. Terrorists abduct KB High Court judge. He's trickling down. Hardship, low awareness threatens PPP, 92% of accounts dormant. And why we adopted Tinubu, Adeleke and all the Accord Party leaders talking about it. Soldiers should earn 250,000 monthly. Ex-defense spokesperson has spoken there. And that's about court orders army to reinstate and pay 70 soldiers. That's it. So, Chris or Majida, who is coming on first? Let's look at the borrowing spree. Atiku is saying it, and each time you say it will be swallowed into opposition voice as if
I like the way Atiku is holding this government accountable. Right? He has been consistent recently, and I think I saw it somewhere in the news that he has a lobbyist group who is lobbying the US to even publish the drug records of the president. And Atiku has been consistent. He's a very technical, rapprochement against the current regime, and that's the beauty of democracy. So I like the role Atiku is playing. I wish things were different. And the temptation to discuss P2B comes in again. I wish things were different, because if Atiku had played the big brother role, which I think should have been his stuff at this point in time, the team would have been complete. And they would have given this presidency a run for their money. But, well, that's not what we have today. But the voice Atiku has today is a very critical voice in the Nigerian political jurisprudence. And I love it. I like to read what Atiku talks about his opinion. Of course, the borrowing spree. This presidency started from day one by discarding the subsidy. I mean, he made a declarative policy right there on television from day one that, subsidy is gone, and that has a ripple effect that has affected the economy. The purchasing power of naira sunk, the cost of living skyrocketed, food inflation tripled, and everything went berserk. There have not been a commensurate increment in the wages of workers. There have not been a commensurate infrastructure, radical infrastructure boost around the country. And the government has not also cut down on its expenditure. The cost of running government has continued to bloat out, and it's really a cause for concern. Nigeria indebtedness is soaring. All the gains that we achieved under Obasanjo has been completely eroded, and we are headed towards the opposite direction. So the article's voice is very timely and very necessary at this point in our history.
Very, very important. I think another concern we're having here is, when are we going to pay all of these debts? Kids that are not yet born already in debts. You give birth to a child, and the next minute, a particular individual will be having a particular percentage that should be cleared by there's a certain time in certain years. And it's disturbing, because each time the president, requests for one loan or the other, it keeps getting approval. So where are we getting it wrong? Of course, is it from the reps? Is it from the House? Or is it from the institutions that keeps borrowing? And for them to keep borrowing, is there a possibility that somehow they're servicing this debt that gives them some leverage to borrow more? What could be the secret to...
In a simple borrowing term, if you want to borrow money from me, and Mark Ginger serves as a guarantor for you, and I will look at, as a borrower, I look at the process, and the person is institutional. He has institutional backing that he can approve for you to borrow. I'll give you money, knowing that government is continuing. So I think the National Assembly shares 90% of the blame. I've shouted several times here that it's just for the president to dream that he will borrow money. Before he wakes up, National Assembly will go and tell President, we saw you in a dream. We saw that you dreamt that you borrow money. Borrow!
No, that you wanted to borrow money.
That you want to
we
borrow.
are here.
Just,
Come borrow.
so what are we talking about? Do we have National Assembly when it comes to financial prudence in Nigeria? The National Assembly are disappointed Nigerians because they don't question nothing about borrowing. Is it that they don't have economists? They don't have chairman of appropriation and all things that have to do with budget and strategy? Is it that we don't have all those people? Where are they? In all this borrowing, that this government in 3 years has borrowed Buhari's 8 years, has borrowed the previous government 8 years, I borrowed the other one government 4 years, that's Jonathan. And we keep, like a country, they say, you see a community where people will miss, and people are just laughing, hey, Chris Madiga will miss, later Magijija will smile, small time, really will miss. Magijija will smile, small time, Magijija will miss, and the community will dry up. No. That is what's happening with our borrowing spree.
Mr. Madeka.
Nobody is questioning this. We don't even have the eggheads, professional experts in Nigeria ask, what are we doing with this money? Because if we see what you have done, the last time I borrowed, I bought this coffee cup. Then the next one I'm going to buy a remote control or iPad. And you can show empirical evidences. Put it together, even if we do not understand it, confuse us with your economic and political jargon. But let there be explanation why borrow. You just sleep and wake up, borrow. You'll be on a tour in the president. You say the president visited London. You go there, you see that he has entered 780 million pounds business. And you will see selective of people who go there with him, and then he comes back, Nigeria will live with it. Like you ask, how can we be borrowing without thinking who will pay? What are we doing to make sure those things we borrow are paying back these loans? What's our worry? It's not about borrowing. You can borrow, but once you have a machinery in place that will pay back what you are borrowing, it makes it easier.
Mr. Maduga, I think the conversation has actually moved beyond whether Nigeria is borrowing or what Nigeria has borrowed. Because when you look at it, by the way, many countries, including developed countries, they borrow, they owe. America owes $1 trillion, UK owes $1 trillion, and so on and so forth. But the question here is, what are we doing with the money we borrowed from? It still boils down to the National Assembly not playing their role, because why they approve borrowing, there should be conditions that will compel the government to work prudently with the borrowed money for them to be able to borrow another one. Also, the borrowing should be invested in diversifying our economy so that we do not have to continue borrowing, and we will be able to raise enough resources to pay back to service or pay back what we have borrowed. But we are not seeing that. Borrowing should be used for infrastructure. P2B talks about this, and I like to put P2B because he says that you should not borrow for consumption, you should borrow for investment. Because he also talked about that you cannot tax emptiness. You need to empower the people for you to tax them, to be able to tax them and get out some tax to use for national development. So I'm no longer even discussing whether the government should borrow or what the government has borrowed. Now I'm talking about what are we achieving with the monies borrowed? What is the plan for the future? What is the plan for the economy? Are we borrowing only against oil, or are we now thinking about diversifying Nigerian economy? The SME system would have been the way out, because it has helped a lot of countries to solve the problem of poverty and democratized economy, democratize the economy. But we find out here that the approach to SMEs here is highly politicized. The government dole out money to people without adequate scrutiny, without both business training and financial literacy. At the end of the day, these people will use the monies for everything else but the purpose that it was given for. So I think we need to get serious. We need to get more serious. You do not just wake up, apply for loans, grab loans, use them to buy SUVs. Like I see somewhere in the news that the government budgeted billions, hundreds of billions for SUVs. A government that removes subsidy is still living ostentatiously, using scarce resources for things that do not solve any problem, if not for personal aggrandizement. And this thing repeats itself every year. So it's the wastefulness that is the problem, not the borrowing. That is
and before we leave that Vanguard, soldiers should earn 250,000 monthly. Chris?
Yeah, it's really painful. I will always say this. It's really painful because just few weeks ago, sometime ago, we hear the defense minister also saying that soldiers are now earning 100,000 naira, if I'm not mistaken, from 45,000 naira. And now we are hearing soldiers should earn 250,000.
And it's coming from an ex-defense spokesperson.
Yes, I feel they should even earn more. Because the duties they play, the role they play. I know you will say that it's a call to service. We all should earn more.
It's not a call to service. What makes you professional?
Nobody to
what makes you a professional soldier starts with your welfare. I think this whole thing, you can trace insecurity to the poor remuneration of the Nigerian security personnel, because these are the guys who are trained to do certain kind of things and they have access to arms, and then you are not feeding them. You understand?
That's exactly my
So
thought
you cannot
too.
be a professional soldier when you are earning 100,000 or even 250. When they say these things, I know how much I earn, and I am complaining. I could barely hold it together. I could barely hold it together. And currently, I know I can comfortably pay like 15 Nigerian soldiers, but I could barely hold it together with my income. And now you're talking about a soldier with a family, a married man with family, with wife and children, who have to train his children in school and feed his family, earning 100,000.
That has access to corruption.
And
that
has access,
things,
access to AK-47. That's most dangerous.
I know
it's not about
the other part of it. Come to think about it, we are in the street. We are free. We are civilians. You can do several things that will give you multiple streams of income. These soldiers do not have this luxury. They are locked up in the barracks. They are not allowed. They don't mix with the populace. They don't have any other business except the soldiering business. Service to the country is like being a nun, in a monastery. And these soldiers, the only thing they have, the only instrument they have is, the only training they have is violence. If you do not pay them well, we are sitting on a keg of compound.
Okay, please stay with us. We'll go on a short break, please. We'll be right back.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Get plugged into the heartbeat of entertainment on The Hub, your ultimate show on e-vibes. From trending stories and social media drama to top charting music, must-watch movies and exciting moments from the world of arts, we've got it all. Join us for unmissable conversations with your favorite entertainment personalities, plus fun segments every week.
I should try harder. So,
Okay, I don't know that one.
outfit of the day.
Oh, I don't do that. That's some Gen Z stuff.
Oh, now you say it's a Gen Z stuff.
It's everything you love about entertainment, served fresh every week at 1 p.m. with weekend repeats just in case you missed it. The Hubs on E-Vibes, where the vibes never stop. Only on Signature TV.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Thanks for staying with us. And of course, this is where we'll be wrapping it up on the newspaper review this morning. But my Ginger, you would like to take at least a story from the paper. Let's just get your paper.
Well, I think you are being democratic here because we could as well.
It has to be inclusive. You
get inclusive there. The federal government budgets 1 trillion for empowerment, SUVs, and mid-rising borrowing pressure. That is the punch. That is the punch.
Punch.
Yeah. Opposition splits over single candidate to challenge Tinubu. Fake agency scandal. Reps grill accountant general. Hoodlums invade Osun INEC office, cut away PVCs. Obasanjo's role in Obi-Wan certificate sparks role. APC drafts Omisoro into 276-member Osun Governorship Council campaign council there. Federal government raises varsity workers hazard allowance to 486,000. Varsity workers hazard allowance. This is a good one. But varsity workers facing hazards more than soldiers, more than doctors. So, this paper now, where a state, I think this is where I saw the SUV thing. Federal government is budgeting 1 trillion for SUVs and empowerment amid rising borrowing pressure. This is the concern, you are borrowing to spend on consumption. We'll talk about empowerment. These are tokens given to people for outright.
Did you see that right there, Wanda? Allocation exceed combined budget of 7 key federal ministries.
Wow.
And it will be passed.
Wow. And then you made a very key, allusion. I said, is it that this university, why selective? If you want the Nigerian workers to be good and have their welfare, do it.
You know why this is happening? The university lecturers can afford to go on strike and embarrass the government. So just cannot.
Who said?
By the virtue of their contract.
We keep assuming one
day.
It
could happen. What I'm saying is that professionally speaking,
I just wanted to
professionally speaking, soldier is seen as mutiny for soldiers to go on.
So that's the version of soldiers strike. It's not that the soldiers' version of strike is mutiny. So let's be.
Another certain about this SUV budget. Over the last few years, most parastatals and ministries do not even receive the budgetary allocations.
And which budget are we operating?
But these SUVs will quickly receive.
Of course.
But which budget are we? Is it 2024, 2025, or
whichever, even if it's 1999 budget, what we are saying is that the SUVs will get more prompt attention than the MDAs.
And if we have heard that some security agencies do not get their allocation.
It's not only security agencies, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Agriculture.
So I'm asking, so what has been, where are we? What has been happening? If we have a budget and the agencies do not receive, and we are in the 7th month of operating 2026 budget, so 2025 budget, and it's going to be rolled over, whatever you call it. So confusion, let somebody get me, because you're a medical person. If when I can't put this in
I'm
together,
not a budget person.
no. For instance, if some Nigerians keep thinking like this and they cannot join again, they say they are mad.
And yet we complain about corruption. When the people see what is happening with these people, you complain about kidnapping, you complain about Japa syndrome.
Nigerians are distracted. When you go online and see the things that bother Nigerians, we are still busy fighting one another on tribalism issues. Any topic that arises, before you know it, people will set an agenda and turn it into tribal.
But you know that people have attacked dogs when Ozubas were Balundiago. There are people that have said, if you see how state governors work, they don't depend on the state radio and televisions. Because of digital technology, they have a house in the government house where they keep about 3 young Nigerians, put them comfortable, give them SUVs, and they'll be publishing the government. So you can run with your budget. The budget they keep to maintain those 3 persons is enough to pay a state radio and television, and so you'll be running around, you're working in government. So you can see how this generation of governments in Nigeria work. They do not have anything for the masses at heart.
This should cause a major outroar.
1 trillion.
All right, guys. I know
for SUVs.
It's really disheartening.
And then someone will say, because I didn't get mine, that's why I'm talking. So bring the SUVs if I still talk. Then you can, I mean, it should go round.
It reminds me of the Labour Party then, where they were having their SUVs, and then people were thinking Labour Party would not receive, from the reps. But
no.
They also
when SUV is a national budget, you cannot be 90 million flies cannot be wrong. So you get into a place, the flies are eating what they're eating. They'll tell you, I'm an angel. I mean, this is. If you do not, you are using your head to break coconut for insensitive groups that are playing stomach politics. So you will be the person who will pay for it. Let's go for a break for another.
So we'll just go straight into this. While we're talking about insensitivity, something happened last weekend that is still making the round on the national and dailies, of course, on social media. We'll be having that conversation right away, where a public office holder made a statement. Some officers
police
officer. Of course.
So that we specifically.
Of course. Some officers along the Lagos-Benin Expressway checkpoint stopped a motorist who had recently returned from the United Kingdom. The officers withheld the driver's license and demanded money. When the driver refused to pay, a heated exchange followed. The officer told the motorist he was lucky he was not Igbo. He further made an ethnic threat, telling the motorist that if he were Igbo, he would have been immediately detained. Let's take a look at the video.
Sorry? You came from America. Came from UK. I'm doing that, yes. Yes. I'm living in Accra. Okay. Sorry? Can do better than I don't have anything now. I don't have anything I would have given you. I just want to see you are very close. That's why I'm with another person. Or Igbo or not. I'm just I don't get anything, that's why. I will give you now. Can I have my driving license here? What can I do now? What can I do? I just park. You know, tell me what I do now, guy. No, check my driving license, check my documents. So I do that now. You are with my driving license now.
All right, then the widely shared footage sparked massive condemnation across social media platforms, with citizens demanding strict disciplinary action for tribal profiling and corruption. Reacting, the Ondo State Police Public Relations Officer confirmed that the erring police officers caught making anti-Igbo ethnic threats in the viral video have been identified and arrested by the Ondo State Police Command. Here's the video.
Video circulating on social media showing some police officers on stop and search duty along Lagos Benin Expressway allegedly making unprofessional and ethnically insensitive remarks to a member of the public. The command wishes to inform the general public that the officers captured in the video have been identified. Commissioner of Police CP Felix Oagu has ordered a comprehensive investigation into the alleged video to unravel the circumstances. Once the investigation is being concluded, the law will definitely take, because we have our own internal modalities to checkmate the excesses of the men, and of course we will do the due diligence.
All right, so there you have it. You know, this is one out of the many that has happened to Nigerians. And it's just interesting to know that there was a camera to capture this one red-handed, just as it happened. Now imagine the thousands of Nigerians that have experienced profiling and corruption while returning or going to whatever destination they're coming or going to. So this is really concerning, and it's more disturbing when the man stated that if you were Igbo, you would have been detained. It tells what has been going on in the country, and many people don't know. And of course, this is Igbo that has been mentioned. I don't want to mention some other states or some other region that are also, you know, being a victim of this kind of circumstance. So some people, it could also be a Yoruba. I'm not trying to be specified on a particular region now, but this is just what is happening. And I'm not too surprised, because I remember some time ago in Lagos during the election, the 2023 general election, where a particular high-ranking person in the state made a statement that if you know you're not going to vote for a particular candidate, you shouldn't be in this state. At some point, they were even mentioning Igbo must go.
It was led by MC Oluomo.
Beautiful. So I didn't want to mention him.
What the thing is, I mean, it's not hidden.
And there was no action carried out.
MC Oluomo is still on the rise.
There was
controlling all the National Union of Road Transport anywhere there's election. In the whole of, it's almost like we have person who is in charge of all the markets, who will be institutionalized to hold market. He has been institutionalized to hold all the National Road Transport. But I am not interested in any of this thing. What I'm interested in, I am Christian Chibuzo Maduka is an Igbo man. And nobody. You know, remember what happened sometime when Reuben Abati, I respect him a lot. He had a gut to sit down on a global television to bring down Igbo people. We did not just join issues. We only tried to put some facts. But you sit in this country and see the massive profiling of a particular. What has presidency said? What has the IGP, you arrest him, and what? This shows what is going on the ground in Nigeria. Some of them, like you said, are not known. What did the Igbo man do? To who? And there's an saying in Igbo land. If you want to kill a bullet, that's a run. Better tie the bullet down. You don't kill a bullet, or you leave. Allow a bullet to go. It is dangerous, it's wickedness, it's insensitive, and only God will pay everybody. What did the Igbo man do? That common policeman will take K-47, will tell somebody who is a citizen of Nigeria, if you were Igbo, I will know what I've done to you. How? That will tell you where this hate, and the Nigeria will say hate speeches, and some people with gun will look at you selectively. A tribe in Nigeria, they will threaten to death. These are people who you won't allow. They are the people who have traveled everywhere. After this, we'll play back what late Obiozo said, former leader, president of Igbo. You will see Igbo man in the struggle for survival has never hit below the belt to gain any advantage. But they remain the Odala tree that bears children that will be pressed in this country. For how long? What is the offense? A common policeman that when they say we are one Nigeria is wearing national uniform paid with our tax money. When they were giving him the gun and then he didn't ask whether it was Yoruba money, they used to buy all he was wearing from boot to head. But he can threaten a particular tribe. And this is How God brings it out, because it's been going underground. Once in a while it will come up. Nigeria will play it down. But let them know. Let them know. Like my father said, life is good. It sweets everybody. What is good for the geese is good for the gander. And he said, if somebody want to take yours, if you don't know what to do, swallow it in your stomach. The Igbos will, whatever Nigerians do and want to eliminate the Igbos, we get to a point where we have to swallow the life in our stomach to show them that God knows that our hands are clean. We don't have anything against them. When it comes to election, you selectively profile Igbos, kill them, do this and come back. And you come back and campaign and tell us it's one Nigeria. How many places in Igbo land have you seen people being treated the way they're being treated outside? And these are people. When it happened in South Africa, you say xenophobia. What do you call it in Nigeria? I reserve my talk, but this, it missed me. I saw it, how the section of journalists in Rise TV tried to talk about it. They poured their minds, and it does not stop. This has to be constitutionally looked at, because this will continue. This will continue. People will go be selling dummy to people of hatred. If we can't stay as one Nigeria again, there's no need for us to drive this country to another point of hoodrum and the killing and all that. It doesn't work. If we hate ourselves this much, that a man swore to defend us with a gun, we come and profile a particular tribe and say, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
Indeed, it is.
Let's just help me, because I can't, it still bothers my mind.
It is. And
well, we're on Signature TV, and because we are the media, I'd like not to see this from a tribal prism, rather professionalism versus bigotry. I'd rather see it as the citizens versus the system. The uniform is supposed to be colorblind. When a police officer in uniform sees tribe before the law, who will police the police? The concern here is that this is becoming a trend. I have been a victim of this kind of profiling in Lagos, and many other Igbos have testimonies of, ethnic profiling. It came to the very fore during the last election, where people who were thought to be Igbo were actively attacked or, barred from participating in the general election, and people made scathing statements, and nobody went unpunished. I strongly condemn the actions of this police officer. His lack of professionalism is an evidence of poor training. It's an evidence of poor accountability. The police is the institution that I hold squarely responsible, because this case did not happen in isolation. And I personally recommend a systemic reform rather than scapegoating of 4 police officers. These ones are being punished because they were caught on camera. You see this every day in police stations in Festac, in police stations in Ajah, in police stations in different areas in Lagos, and maybe some other locations in the southwest. I do not claim that it doesn't happen elsewhere in Nigeria, but it is most popular in these areas because people have spoken out, in a lot of in different times in the past. And it's unfortunate that issues like this that could spark major civil disturbances or conflicts, tribal conflicts in the country, you would not hear from the presidency. In the last elections, there were videos of the First Lady, the now First Lady, making some, on several remarks about a particular ethnic group. People saw it as a instigation against, tribal lines. And these are part of the reasons why the counter coup of 1966 happened, that eventually culminated in the Civil War. It is better to nip these things at the bud than to allow them to fester. The Igbo complaint in this country is no longer something that you could rationalize. The Igbos are being, targeted in different locations, especially in the country, especially the southwest. In fact, Igbos fare better in northern Nigeria than in southern Nigeria in terms of freedom to participate in political and civil activities. In the north, the Igbos go about their businesses, or less during the religious violences. The violence is not mostly religious and not tribal, But in the south, especially the southwest, you find that Igbos are being targeted unnecessarily, unjustifiably. In the south, remember, after the war, the Igbos lost a lot of their properties in Port Harcourt and some other cities in the south. And up to today, you could find violences that are targeted against the Igbo at Oyugbo. Some years back, Igbos were attacked by mobs and even those who were claimed to be security personnel, and a lot of them died because the state was trying to purge the place of IPOB. Igbos were labeled and incarcerated randomly without trial. Some lost their lives. Properties were destroyed. This is not good for a country like Nigeria. It's heartbreaking because we've spent over 60 years together as a nation, but we are still yet to find ourselves as citizens of the same country. It's a sad one. Nigerian police should take responsibility and do more than just arresting these 4 officers and trying them. There should be a systemic reform by the Nigerian police and the Nigerian government.
All right, so I did a little research to find out the national perception of tribal discrimination in Nigeria, and data on how Nigerians view the balance of ethnic rights, indicates deep-seated structural issues. So we're looking at the discrimination majority. A comprehensive nationwide study conducted by NOI polls revealed that 56% of Nigerians believe that all tribes in the country are treated unequally. And also, perceptions of discrimination vary significantly by region. The Southeast region recorded the highest perception of unequal treatment at 70%. Conversely, the Northwest and Southwest regions reported the highest belief in equality, with 51%, both zones stating that all tribes are treated fairly. But it seems the Southeast seem to be on the receiving end mostly on this whole tribalism, discrimination, and the likes. And now this brings me to politics. When we have the zonings, during the political campaign, where you have, remember what happened to ENUGU, where they complained that you can have 2 religions together in one position, like vice president and president, Muslim, divided, have Christian and Muslim to just balance, to make it inclusive. And we also have parties that would rather use the same region instead of to, give one to the south and give one to the west, or like just scatter it to make sure that it's inclusive. And these things we are doing, we don't know the messages these things send. When you zone things like this, you have supporters, people that believe in you, that love your leadership. They feel that whatever decisions you make, whatever roles you play, that is the right one, and they intend to follow it that way and work with it. So it's a deep-rooted thing, and in as much as I want to believe that some people carry out these things, it's also an individual thing, and I believe that even in the police too, there are great people, there are nice people, they are not ethnic profiling, they are living their life well, but they're also the bad ones. But if only we could have some sort of understanding, you understand, Mark Ginger, if only we could have some sort of understanding and come together and work, things will work out better.
Is that understanding you're asking about? I think one very respected Nigerian, a cultural enthusiast, and an Igbo man who is a producer of content, has tried to put to the limelight what he thinks that people need to understand about an Igbo man. It continues for a long time. If you ask me, I did youth service in Yoruba land. For the first time in my life, I took time to study the Yoruba people. And the best of my friends are coming from that side. I do not have anything against anybody. But it nips, it's painful when every day you wake up, that particular tribe you are, one person. Because if Igbo man does what that policeman does, I will treat him, I'll shout on him the same way. But some of us that are working in the media, trying to hold our people together, preaching peace, and one Nigeria, at the point you come back, whenever the Nigerian Igbos are hit that hard up there, you come back and look at them, they will almost stone you and want to kill you. Are they making us fools? Why can't we use our position to posture that we start profiling people? But we don't do that. We are calling, don't profile Igbos, don't single them out for anything. We don't even say single out any other person. Because what is good for the geese is good for the gander. If you do the same thing to Yoruba man or to Hausa Fulani, we will still sit down here and shout and show passion of unity. But don't, it will be more painful when it's happening to my own tribe. And I have to sit here and begin to rub okuma and oil on it. I could not, because it threatens even my origin. So I think we call for break and take that speech from Gozu. I think that guy, what he said, actually made me to reflect to who is an Igbo man. So we call for break. We'll play back what Gozu said, and we'll continue this discussion, Chris.
All right then.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
You know, different people have actually tried to demystify the Igbo man and the Igbo woman. And they have not been able to do that. And because they have not managed to demystify who that Igbo person is, they resorted to hatred, trying to come up with a lot of things just to bring down that Igbo person. I want us to understand this morning, based on what we know a Democrat to be. The Igbo man is not a Democrat. A Democrat is that person who follows structure. A Democrat is that person who must first identify the position of the leader. That means you must have to identify who your leader is. And once you identify who your leader is, you will go a step further to understand the position of your leader. And whatever position your leader is maintaining becomes your position. Even when you are convinced that that position is compromised, that that position is manipulated, that that position is actually telling lies to the generality of the people. But because you have a leader who has taken that position as a Democrat, you are actually expected to assign yourself to that very standpoint. That's a Democrat. A Democrat is that person who must defend what their structure is defending. If you understand that to be who a Democrat is, you readily know that the Igbo man is not a Democrat. An Igbo man is a Republican. A Republican is that man who identifies what is the true position of things in this environment, and he will always speak his mind, not minding whose us is God. His opinion may not go down well with a lot of people. He will always respect his leader, but there is no mandate that he must follow what the leader has said. No. That's a Republican. And when we understand that here in Africa, we do not need that commitment to democratic norms for us to make progress. Because based on what we are seeing, democratic norms have not done us good. It has continued to orchestrate the lies. It has continued to portray manipulation. It has continued to undermine growth and development. Because in a democratic setting, the people who are in charge will always want to be in charge. Whatever policy they are creating is the policy that will see them remain in charge. They can never create a structure or policy or an arrangement that will see them losing out. They want to perpetually be in charge, and that is what democratic norm is all about. They will always deceive you to say that democracy is the rule by the people, for the people, and by the people, and then they would equally deceive you that it is the rule of the majority. In the real sense of the word, democracy is manipulated. It's manipulated.
Because the people who managed to be in charge, they hardly let go. They hardly let go in a democratic environment. And that is why the Igbo man, give it to him or deny him from being that. He is not ultimately a Democrat who is committed to democratic ideologies. An Igbo man is a Republican. A Republican man is the man who must be heard. And that is why it is not easy for you to come into an Igbo environment and you have one leader that everybody is listening to. No, you cannot do that. When the Igbos manages to produce a leader that will speak and everybody follows, that person must be exceptional. And that kind of leader comes once in a while. So I just want to call on all the people that are hating on the Igbos from all over the world because of who we are. It is in our nature to state things the way they are. It is in our nature to be extremely objective. It is in our nature to question things. We do not take things hook, line, and sink. That someone who is in a position of authority has maintained a standpoint does not mean all of us will fall behind him. No. We question that person. We question him or her so terribly that the person may actually get confused. That is who we are. And you cannot take it away from us. And if you happen to be an Igbo person and you discover that you are not aligning to what I am saying, it simply means along your bloodline there may be compromise. You are not a complete full-blooded Igbo person, because if you are full-blooded Igbo person, that blood of republicanism must be running in you to the extent that if there is anything that is not...
All right, there you have it. Someone has helped us to understand who the typical Igbo man is. But I believe even some Igbo men will also have their own ideology of who an Igbo man is too. So it's always varies in a way. But the most important thing is that we shouldn't be given opportunities based on where we are from. We shouldn't be a victim of any circumstance based on where we are from. And this is not just about the Igbo man. It's about any other tribe. So you could be a Yoruba, a Hausa, whatever tribe you are, as long as you are a Nigerian and you have access to be in power, to be in position to support or whatever authority you have, you shouldn't victimize anyone.
Lele, while you are right in that assertion, it always waters down the real problem where we begin to, sound politically correct over issues that are obvious and the tension lines in our country. The matter, if the guy could never have said if you were a Fulani man, you'll be detained. He could never have said if you were a Bayelsa man, you'll be detained. It's more likely that he will say if you were an Igbo man, you will be detained. If 10 of such incidents happened, where somebody is profiled along tribal line, it is likely to be an Igbo man. And I'm saying this with all decency, knowing fully well that this is a media outfit. I'm saying it because the problem needs to be pointed out for us to solve it. I'm not saying it to instigate any kind of sensationalism. The irony is that there are laws, put together to, mitigate against this kind of situations. For instance, the Section 42 of 1999 Constitution makes it, unlawful for anybody to be discriminated against based on his ethnicity. Section 14 talks about federal character, and the Police Act of 2020 talks about, policing without discrimination. This speech qualifies as hate speech in my own understanding, and there should be an inquest. There should be an inquest because the outcry shows that this is a pattern. There should be a broader, investigation on this kind of development, because we've had a tribal war in this country that cost over 3 million people, mostly 90% or more. We are Igbos. So when we are discussing the Igbo problem, let's not try to water it down by trying to compare notes on the other. People who die at the end of the day are Igbos. Even when other tribes are killed, they are usually killed because they were thought to be Igbo. It has happened a lot of times. So there is an Igbo problem in Nigeria. I'm happy that somehow this regime has made some efforts, even though a lot is left to be done. by signing the Southeast Development Commission into law, it's a step forward, because this is the first time this is happening since the Civil War that the country declared the 3R and abandoned the rehabilitation part of the 3Rs. So the Southeast Development Commission is a step in the right direction. However, when you look at the security architecture of the country since the last regime of President Buhari, there is no or scarce Igbo representation. And this has only engendered mistrust. Nigeria runs on a federal character system. I do not wholly support that, but that is where we are today. After all, that was the agitation of the northern elements who carried out the counter coup, because the Igbos tended to dominate in the civil service, especially in the railway systems. They were mostly the VCs and HODs in the Nigerian universities. Remember that those days, people were recruited on merit. So when we came back from the war, the country was looking for healing. And one of the things that was introduced was the federal character system. It's not in the interest of the Igbo man, but it should not be weaponized against the Igbo man. By the way, the Igbo man is asking for a fair playing ground in Nigeria, in the Nigerian experiment. And that's why you find people agitating for their own country. I do not necessarily support, balkanization of Nigeria, because after all, the founder of the modern Igbo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, was a proponent of Africanism, Pan-Africanism, and I buy his idea. We are the same Africa, we are black people, our global challenges are similar, and there's no need pointing at people from, this person's from this tribe, this person's a Nigerian or Ghanaian. But at the end of the day, why Nigerians suffer, universal, humiliation and xenophobia and discrimination in other countries, coming back home here, the Igbo man begins to, suffer experiences that mirror what Nigerians experience abroad. The government needs to wake up and do a systemic, overhaul of the system. The police should take advantage of this incident and, do something because if the police can really purge itself of this development, then the police can police the system. It is the duty of the police to, come after those who are carrying out some of these nefarious activities. A lot of people did it during the last elections in Lagos. After the NSAS campaigns that happened all over the country by young people, some people started the narrative, even on radio in southwest Nigeria, that it was the Igbos, that their intention was to destroy Lagos, to maliciously destroy Lagos. So this agenda is not known, is not alien, and this government is aware of it. I've talked about what the First Lady said sometime before the last election that triggered this kind of reaction from a lot of Igbos and other Nigerians that want the United Nations. So the buck ends with the federal government. It is time for us to bring to an end this ugly trend.
For us to be together as a country, like Debo said, now if you want us to be friends, take away all manner of trickishness in our relationship and we remain. If the unity of Federal Republic of Nigeria is skewed towards tribalism and now. Now, if you come to what Ugezu was saying, how, when we were growing up, you pick a book, day by day book, you see the drawing, you see Adamu, you see Obi, you see names, and they will tell you who they are. And you, as a kid from nursery, you are now knowing that other people with you in Nigeria. They killed that angle. How many Nigerian books that children read? Because it starts from what this young man, for him to say this boldly, and they told him, we are recording you. He said, go ahead and record. He was saying all this. Imagine if it's an Igbo man that who you were deported and put in a cell that's telling me you are recording him. He will shoot him. That put it. So that will tell you. What are we saying? The unity of Nigeria should be when we start again to understand ourselves through schools. The young people should know who the next person is. It's not, we are not, Nigeria is not existing in isolation. And if they really, you know why I'm saying this? If we truly want to unite Nigeria, today is time to start. You go to our schools, these young people find themselves, because all the tribes staying in ENUGU, all the schools in ENUGU, children meet there. One of the greatest uniting points in ENUGU is the army school in ENUGU. You go there, there's no tribe in Nigeria that don't go to army school in ENUGU. But along the line, if those children relate and become friends, and they get back home, and the tribal parent tells him, you are Omo Igbo, you are Omo Yoruba, you are Inyamiri, you are Kobo, they introduce this thing and wipe away the unity children are built for themselves, and they grow with it. If Nigeria gets to this point, Holocaust of what they call it, what the Russian people did, will be a child's play. Because today we are building a foundation of hatred. You don't unite. Even when they come to, you see, children, parents keep discrimination even among them. Why these children, you leave them alone here? They play. They don't know whether they just children are just, they will become friends.
Mr. Maduga, I will support you with a quote that happened at I believe Sokoto during the First Republic, when after the general election there was no clear winner that could form the national government, and Azikiwe led NCNC and the Awolowo's party. They were looking at forming an alliance with the Ahmadu Bello led party to form a national government. And I remember reading that Zik visited Ahmadu Bello, the Sadwana of Sokoto, to discuss a possible alliance after talks broke down with Awolowo. And in his speech, Azikiwe said, let us forget our differences and forge a unity. But in his response, Ahmadu Bello said something in the line of, let us understand our differences and forge a unity. And that resonated with me. There are so many ugly incidents to talk about in Nigeria when it comes to tribal issues. For instance, recently, Alex Onya, an educationist and a development economist, took some kids to the International Mass Olympiad. And when this man, came back with a lot of letters, the kids won. I think it was a personal project, and he took some Southeast kids that participated in the competition. Before you know it, a national achievement that should be attracting accolades was, converted into tribal back and forth. Some people began to allege that Alex Onya was a tribalist. He tried to explain that he could only do as much as he could do, and he was starting from one place at a time. By the way, the Nigerian government had jettisoned that project since 2019, and said the Ministry of Education said there was no fund to sponsor kids. That this was his personal project. Someone came to accuse him that a Yoruba kid actually passed the competition in ENUGU to participate, given a name and school. Alex Onya luckily has a cache of records. By the time he presented his evidences, the schools that participated, it happened at that school that this person quoted, and his quote and his tweet generated a lot of bad blood. So you see that there are people who set this agenda, and their intention is only known to them. The government should use the extant laws to go after these people.
Did they tweet that the head of ESBS in Enugu is a Yoruba man?
They did
not. They tweet that the forest guard in Enugu is led by a Yoruba man?
They did not.
They did tweet how many agencies, state agencies
of housing
that are in Enugu state that are led by Yoruba
is a Yoruba
person. Why I get passionate and I don't want it to be like certain people you will keep pressing down and they will come beggarly. Doing those things, you know what pressure the governor of Enugu State will be going through to push this in to maintain some balance. And some people will go somewhere pushing for tribalism to bring. If all your agenda is to make
Mr.
sure
Maduga,
you set in tribal.
The problem
war.
is not it is right for you to be passionate as an Igbo man, but the media has the agenda setting.
That's
function.
What we are talking about balance.
We don't have the luxury of.
No, we do say what is good for the geese is good for the gander.
I agree with you totally.
I've never supported tribalism, and that's why it came up, especially when it's coming up against my own tribe. And what do you expect me to do? I've sat here promoting one Nigeria. So when you want to bring it home, what do I do? So let's think about another thing probably, because the more we talk about it, it's negative. Tribalism is negative, it's anti-development, it cannot lead Nigeria to anywhere.
Indeed. All right, so there is just one thing that we're looking at now. This is the 2027 general election, and the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has concluded the continuous voter registration exercise, officially closing the registration window on Sunday, July 26, 2026. That was yesterday. The decision stands despite strong pushback and formal demands for an extension from several opposition political parties and civil society organizations who expressed deep concerns that millions of eligible citizens could face exclusion from the upcoming 2027 general elections. And still talking about election, in another development, in a bid to ensure a hitch-free accreditation for the August 15 Osun governorship election, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has disclosed that it will embark on mock accreditation exercise on the 1st of August 2026. A public announcement issued by the Commission said the exercise was aimed at assessing its operational readiness and testing the efficiency of the bimodal voter accreditation system. BVAS, ahead of the governorship election, no actual voting or tallying of political candidates takes place during this trial. The mock accreditation would be conducted in selected polling units spread across the 3 senatorial districts of Osun State, covering Osun Central, Osun East, and Osun West. That's it on that very one. But, according to INEC, it stipulates that the conclusion of the registration should be carried out 90 days, to the election. And some stakeholders are still asking to extend the deadline, looking at the fact that there may be some people that have not registered. What do you think? Do you think this is...
The thing is that I think the timelines are good because we Nigerians are not... If something does not have a timeline, it's likely that we will not do it until the very last minute. So I understand why INEC normally put this timeline. Remember, it's actually continuous voter registration because this registration could take place in INEC offices. It's just the campaign itself where they roll out into the communities, into the wards, into the polling areas to try to, register people en masse. By the way, there are a lot of Nigerians who will still become 18 years before the next election. So there's need to still open the gate. And I support those who are calling for extension. Maybe INEC should take a break and then come up with another deadline because Nigerians know they hear what until it's almost too late. So it has to be a continuous campaign. Now that this timeline has elapsed, there should be another timeline. And people should actually go out and vote and register to vote. I mean, what makes you a Nigerian is your ability to vote. Whether the vote counts or not starts with you, first of all, getting your voter's card.
Before we go into sermonizing about it, this is a digital era in Nigeria. If you want to open an account, you sit in the comfort of your home with your phone, you open an account. If you want to get Nigerian passport, in the comfort of your home, you fill it and you go, give you a date, you go and pick it. Even if you want to buy a car, in the comfort of your home, you pay for car and it will deliver to your home. See, we are telling ourselves lies. You know why? If INEC with the budget they are proposing, and even most of times they get it, wanted to digitalize Nigeria electoral system and registration, somebody will be turning 18 this morning as we are talking about. And all you need to go is to go and click and register. You might not, you might have to go through process of going to where you pick your card, voter's card. Why are we making things? Because we want to rig election or probably take advantage. Otherwise, why? Why do we want to hold Nigeria back? Digitalization, we have digitalized everything except our election. Even when we want to digitalize this, still sit in National Assembly to say, hey, we hope, we know it will fail. So when it fails, do this. What are we doing? What are we doing? But all of them sit down there to book tickets for their plane that we will travel in the next 20 years. They dare sit down there, pay their children's school fees abroad.
I think
Nigeria is telling ourselves lies, and that's what pains me. If I get passionate, you will say, Chris Madeka, cool down, cool down. What is the problem about waiting ceremonial when you roll out an INEC staff to go sit somewhere that is unconducive to begin to people, Nigerians will come and line up to do registration of voters 2026.
I think it's important that we know one of the reasons why INEC is having a deadline, because there are other behind the scenes that they have to put together.
I'm not interested in deadline. I'm saying the process. Because if you set deadline, Nigerians deadline can be by, if you go open the portal and they say you can't register deadline, you stay at home.
Mr. Chris,
the deadlines can be set by INEC.
I think I agree with you totally on this, and I guess you beat me to that one. I mean, digitalization of some of these things will make it very easy and more accessible to everybody. But what INEC has done is a kind of hybrid thing. You could do this registration online, but you still need to go to an INEC office to get
the card.
I think that will make things unnecessarily difficult, and I would like for us to invite the INEC people to this studio to interrogate the possible technologies that they can easily introduce to our elections, and the issue of rigging, and which is at the core of electoral violence, will be solved, including registration of new voters or issues that have to do with voters card, change of location, and all that. It would be nice for the
INEC person can come, but it's like inviting any of the bank people in Enugu to come, and you are asking on hardcore decision issue. You tell you, Lagos, our office in Lagos.
This is a social.
Because if you come on, ask any INEC person, he will tell you the chairman will have to take decision about some major decisions.
But there's a feedback. What I'm saying is that we will bring a high-ranking INEC official, not just anybody here, to interrogate some of these issues, so that Nigerians will also, we will get their questions through our social media handles. Because I believe that a lot of the things like we are doing in this country with digitization, with the digital technology available today, I mean, people can stay at the comfort of their zone, scan their voter's card, or key in their information and vote. You understand? If we begin to vote more virtually than physically, violence will go down, rigging will go down, the cost of logistics will drastically go down,
corruption too.
And we use our tools for a lot of things. Like he said, if we can use phones to run transactions running into millions and billions, how difficult is it to use our phones to vote or register to vote? You understand? So I think sometimes these things are intentional. We just create the system to be able to give a leeway for the criminal aspect of that process.
Ginger, when Nigeria were going on this NEPA thing, they will stop and say, you now buy card and recharge. Almost some of those NEPA officials who carry ladder everywhere, some of them committed suicide because they now find out that the business is gone. So when you say they made it for purpose, you are right. If you digitalize Nigeria electoral system, violence, large budget, deception, rigging will come down drastically.
Let's be optimistic that they're working towards it. We had another conversation. Osun elections coming up on the 15th of next month, and INEC will be having a mock accreditation exercise going on the 1st of August, where they will be, trying, test running how the actual election will look like. What's your take on that? I think it's...
Is it not the same on Osun, where thugs have killed, carried the cards, carted
yes,
so why are you planning? You plan to fail and you are still looking at want me to come here and waste energy discussing
in this program.
What happened to the PVC batch
that was scattered away?
That have been scattered
away. We're here in this program. We talked about how INEC comes up with novel, strategic, wonderful, ideas, innovations every election cycle. I remember Maurice Iwu that introduced voter registration, online voter registration. He was the one that designed it was under his regime. My friend, one of my friends worked in INEC. They were the ones that designed the electronics voting system. But Maurice Iwu superintended over an INEC that oversaw the worst rigged elections in our history. I remember this last election, Festus, what's his name? The INEC spokesperson. Festus, what's his name? He was everywhere. Festus Okere, he was everywhere in the internet. He was on the radio. They held town hall meetings. INEC made sweeping promises. I was part of that election. I was the spokesperson of Labour Party in ENUGU, and I was the party chairman in my local government at that point. I was part of that election from preparations. I granted over 1,000 interviews. I participated in hundreds of radio, TV programs. We engaged with INEC round the clock. I believed in my deepest heart that was going to be a free and fair election. And you know what? The opposite happened. And when we went to court, INEC came to defend against what INEC promised us on camera. That is one of the most heartbreaking things that has happened to me. And personally, I switched off. I stopped thinking about it.
You have gone through so many heartbreaks. So it's maybe because you're a doctor.
This one really hit home because I invested both time, money, emotions. That project was promising because INEC came up with a coordinate. You know what? Electronic voting, electronic voter registration, electronic upload of results.
Real time.
Real time. It was supposed to be, the thing. We were expecting the results will come up perfect. But when River State election results began to roll in, it was so magic. And we also hoped that the courts would, do the needful. And, the story...
Is it not this country that when you are all those things, somebody will look eyeball to eyeball and say, go to court. With that confidence of going to court, doesn't it mean that he has already perfected what will happen in court? Because if he knows he's sitting on a very wrong age and he still has courage to say go to court, is it not that he has settled that area? And because with that confidence, go to court is a status quo ante. What I call it is the same issue, So Ginger, I think it boils down to the fact that we come together as a 240 million Nigerians, looking at ourselves eyeball to eyeball every day, telling ourselves lies, and we are hoping that after telling ourselves lies, something very wonderful will come out of it. I will be on Eldorado ride. No, but you convince me otherwise if I'm saying what is wrong. If I am too passionate, if I'm too shouting, just tell me.
Laughing.
Give me a hope.
How do they think about that? How do they think about 240 million people sitting
together? Whichever way, disjointed, segmented.
That's a lot of lies.
They will segment it, and how the lies will come together. It comes together as a massive lie led by people who claim they are, still lying.
No, I want to ask you, Mr. Chris.
Yeah.
We're on TV this morning. I mean, who do we really blame? Or maybe let me put it this way: which generation of Nigerians do we blame for what is happening?
This generation of Nigeria.
Which generation of Nigeria?
This generation of Nigeria, because I was told that every time era, generate what they want. The kind of politicians, the kind of priests, lawyers, the kind of leaders. This is what this generation wants. But, it has to take the generation who are if they are comfortable with it. But now you can find most of them are saying, what we have created like Ikwikwi, who gave a bet and said,
Chris, you are dancing. Did he say this generation should be blamed?
He said this generation, yes.
I said.
Should be blamed
for whatever they allow to happen in
whatever they allowed to go. Let's talk about it.
What they deserve.
This generation did EndSARS protest and were killed. And your generation said nothing. They were killed by your generation. You said nothing.
Okay. And the people,
currently, 90% of people in government
went to war.
90% of people in government are not
from
this generation.
People went to Nigeria.
The people who are carrying out the corruption in Nigeria are not from this generation.
The people who are
encouraging tribalism in Nigeria, who are beneficiaries of this tribalism in Nigeria, are not from this generation.
Guys.
I put it to you that your generation destroyed this country.
If our generation destroy you, let this generation come and destroy the destroyers.
Stop killing us.
All right, it's fine. It's fine. Can we have this conversation tomorrow when we come back? So today has been something we've been sad with different situations, different happenings in Nigeria. But something exciting is happening today. Today is someone's birthday. Whose birthday it is? Today is Francis Duru's birthday. With more than 35 years of experience in the Nigerian movie industry, Chief Francis Duru remains a household name in the Nollywood industry. Born on July 27, 1969 in Cameroon to Nigerian parents who hail from Imo State, he received both primary and secondary school education in Cameroon, but in order to obtain a BSc degree, he moved to Nigeria where he applied to the University of Port Harcourt in Rivers State in the south region of Nigeria and was accepted as an undergraduate to study theatre arts. In 1996, he obtained a BA degree in theatre arts. Duru debuted in the Nigerian movie industry in 1989 with a movie titled Missing Mark. Duru became more prominent in the Nigerian movie industry in 1995 after featuring in an action comedy movie titled Rattlesnake. In 2007, he received the United Nations Ambassador of Peace Award for his positive influence on the youths. In 2010, Duru was appointed as the interim president of the Actors Guild of Nigeria, and also in the same year was nominated for Best Actor in a supporting role at the African Movie Academy Awards. Duru and his wife Adokie got married in 2003 and have 4 children together. Duru and Adokie both attended the University of Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Happy birthday to you, Francis Duru. Before we come to share our moments with him, I believe there are some clips about him, his movie day. Of course, he's still acting. Let's see 1 or 2 of the things he's done.
You must go now. It is not good for a man and a woman who are not married to be seen together for too long.
And who says you're a man? You're a boy.
Come to go.
Have you kissed a girl before?
Sneak me. Hey.
You see, you're just a bush boy. One question about a kiss and you're dying of embarrassment. If I actually kiss you, I'm sure you'll bury yourself alive.
No, come to go, come to go, come to go.
So you can see Francis Duru doing what he knows how to do best.
Yeah, one of the most interesting things is that the union of Francis was made in the Crab Theatre, Port Harcourt.
Oh,
Crab Theatre, the 2 Crab Theatre where he met the wife and all. His acting style is pulled from Stanislavski's theory of acting, emotional recovery.
He is a thespian. You are a thespian.
Okay, so you can imagine.
Let's have this conversation.
I'm trying to shine.
Let's have this conversation.
But what it means is that Francis is a wonderful actor. What can we do? Because of time, we only say, Francis, happy birthday, live long and continue to prosper. From Signature TV.
Right.
That's all I can say. You can go ahead.
All right, so that's how far we've gone to this edition. Mark Ginger, what would you like to share before we leave?
Well, it was an interesting day. Even though Mr. Maduka refused to acknowledge the damage his generation has done to this country, I'm happy to be here this morning to share with our viewers on Signature TV Morning Show. Please always stay with us.
If our generation are the cause of this problem, take our generation away. Take back your generation and move on. Don't dwell on let our mistakes serve as inspiration for this generation. Mark Ginger, I bow, I submit, we made a mistake. Take care. My name is Christian Chimuzo Maduka. Thank you for having been with us on this edition of Signature Morning. Join us for the rest of the program and be here again tomorrow with us by God's grace.
Of course, tomorrow promises to be exciting and informative. Stay with us on this very channel, Signature Television, on the morning show. My name is Christopher Lely, and at this point, we'll hand it over to Abuja Studios to do justice.
So when I arrived in my parish, Archbishop said, he sent a car to come and pick me. And I went straight to his house. He said, oh, you can take a holiday. I said, you asked me to come back. No, take a holiday. I said, no, I'm not taking a holiday. You asked me to come back, I'm back. So he sent me to a parish that I left before I got to Catholic Secretariat. So I went back to the parish and found the parish so miserably run down. And what was very interesting about the parish was that 2 priests had died. So when they had died in the parish, so when my cousin heard that she had been in the parish for almost like forever, so she rushed to come and greet me. And the first thing she said to me, hey, so now they've sent you here to come and die, isn't it? Somebody doesn't like you. People have been dying here. Now they've sent you here to come and die. Okay. I sat down in Kakuri. Then I started calling my friends because the place was totally run down. Curtains, lights, toilets, everything broken. So I started calling my friends. Unfortunately, I called a friend of mine. I don't know how the matter went. Entered the ears of Obasanjo, was president. So I'm sitting down, there are no mobile phones. I didn't have a mobile phone. It was 2005. So I'm sitting in my palace, the phone rings, I picked it up, and it's President Obasanjo. Father, where are you? I said, I'm in Kabuse. You went for your study, you came back. You come back, you don't even call me to tell me that you are back. I said, you're not my bishop, sir. I had no obligation. I'm back in my parish. Then he said to me, you know the way President Obasanjo, he said, so what have you done? This is your Catholic church. I hear that they have posted you to a poor place. You are calling people looking for money. I said, yes, sir. It's not a poor parish. I said, wherever God is cannot be poor, but I need to fix the place. That's why I'm making some calls. And I said, I know I won't call you because you won't give me money. So we got, now to fast forward, because it's a long story, but to fast forward, how could I have imagined that it's from the same Kakuri that I'll be called upon and become Bishop of Sokoto? So, and then if you go back to Kakuri and see the infrastructural transformation that took place, that today Kakuri has the best church in the whole of Kaduna. So what I'm saying in effect is that I have learned, no matter the temptation, to accept God's will. So that has really helped in shaping my life, because there are things that just happen to me. I mean, how would I have known that coming back, because barely a month after Obasanjo calls me to become secretary of the Political Reform Conference, I finished, the same President Obasanjo says to me, please help us fix Ogoni. Then I finished, Yaradua calls me to be member of the Electoral Reform Committee. I work on that. And then the next thing, how did I, so if I had stayed away in New York, I don't know, my bishop would probably still have agreed. But this attempt to help God, I've tried to make sure that, so if you see my life the way it has turned, I can tell you, cross my heart, it's not through any effort on my part. I think God has just been extraordinarily magnanimous, and I'm not sure that I have perfectly followed the path, but I've tried as much as possible to freeze my hands and let him be the driver. So where I am now, I'm just convinced that this is where God wanted me.
So it's not like there's any special diplomacy.
Yeah, because
it's not like you set out to do it in a particular way.
Most of the text has always been written in my absence. It's not. I've never. I mean, when President Obasanjo called me the second time to say he wanted me to deal with the issue, I told him, I said, Oga, I've just finished this thing. I want to go back to my parish, and he says to me, no. Because, and one interesting thing was, he said to me, I've already concluded talk with your bishop. Because he realized when he appointed me to put up panel, there was a lot of problem. Because when I got the telephone call, I told them, I'm Secretary General of the Catholic Secretariat. I'm answerable to the President of the Catholic Bishops' Conference. I cannot leave my desk to come and take this position. If you want to give me a position, talk to the President of Conference. He's my employer for now. And the man who called me from the villa was shocked and still reminded me that it is the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that is offering me an appointment. I said, I'm sorry, sir. I'm not answerable to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I appreciate the interest, but this is... And they went through that process. What struck me, so when he came to Obasanjo, he also realized that I would do nothing without the approval of my bishop. And therefore, for me, every appointment, whether political reform conference or put up panel, I took it as a pastoral assignment. And so what struck me really deeply was in the case of Yaradua appointing me to serve as a member of the Electoral Reform Committee. If you go back and check the newspaper report, I was away. I was in New York. And I was in... I wasn't in New York. Where was... Yes. I was in New York State, let me say. So, and I was holidaying with my friend. He was in a parish that was in a depression, in a valley. So, at my mobile, I couldn't answer any calls. So, the day I was leaving, as we were driving, once we crossed the hill, I just started here, pum, 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 on my phone. Text messages were. Before I knew what was happening, I opened there were about 20-something text messages. I started reading the text, and I discovered somebody from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, I didn't even know, had been calling me. So I returned the call, and he said, where are you? I said, I'm in New York. The president is looking for you. For what? And then I now heard the newspaper reported when they couldn't reach me, Yaradua still suppressed my name. And if you go back, I don't remember the date, but it was in this day. The names all came out. And then there was a statement at the end that there is still somebody from the... They didn't say from the church, but anyway, that like they were still expecting somebody. And when I had a chance of meeting Yaradua, and I raised this issue, Yaradua said to me, we're not stupid. We know the Catholic Church. We know that the Catholic people will not jump on this. And we also, I don't know how, but I was happy that he said, we know. Maybe he spoke to Obasanjo, I don't know. He said, we know that you will not jump at any appointment without the approval of the authorities. And for me, that gave me a sense of vindication that people appreciate the processes of the Catholic Church. So I have, as I said, in my view, I've never tried to. I know how shocked I was as a priest, and as a secretary and the Catholic Secretariat when I received the communication from the Holy Father. I've been appointed to serve as how, So I don't have. You're just there in the house of God. Yeah, because I get a lot of young people, priests, lay people who say to me, I want to be like yourself. Which part of me do you want to be? Because I would like to play football as JJ Okocha. I would like to play as, but I can't. So which part of me do you want?
The Lordship, you've been busy recently talking about so many things. And one of the issues that you have raised is this constant position by government that, look, things are getting better, the GDP is getting better, this has been published, and so have been published. You reminded the president recently that it's not yet Uhuru. Are you worried that most of our leaders are more interested in the numbers and not how policies have affected the ordinary Nigerian? Is this something that bothers you?
In my view, human expectations are moving parts. You can never, the human being is insatiable. Okay, when you were a reporter, you dreamt of maybe having a television station of your own. Now you have a television station of your own, but you know that it's not really, you're just starting. You want something bigger. Human needs are insatiable, and they will always be. So there will never be any government, and this is why I labor to make the point. And in Nigeria, because we have internalized cynicism almost as something, so it is never really the case that, because if you say anything good about government, they don't pay up. But I always joke, and I said, look, if I went to your wife now and said, madam, this is your husband, Vin, I like him, correct gentleman. I like to make him chairman of our church council, because guy is just flawless. Your wife will look at me and say, poor man, you don't know what I'm living with at home. Because so each and every one of us, Pope John Paul I made a statement. He said, each and every one of us is three persons. There is you as only you know yourself. Your best friend, your wife, no matter how they can claim, they don't know that part of you. There is you as your friends know you. And there is you that neither you nor your friends know, only God. So there will never be a president that will enjoy public approval as in clapping. Even in a football stadium, one side goes away unhappy. Nigerians must tune themselves. It's got nothing to do with President Ahmed Tinubu, that there will never be a president. And after elections, the real problem starts. The question is, and this is also where ethics, policy, and these are the kind of things we're trying to do at the Kuka Center. We've spoken only about the Peace Committee. My interest at the Kuka Center is inspired by what I experienced as a student at the Kennedy School. That policy processes can be refined and redefined and broken into cookies so that people who are formulating policy know what is possible, drawing inspiration from ordinary people. We are not running the British system of government, where every minister, for example, is a member of parliament, in which case their understanding of policy, their ideological commitment is constrained. You can't go. So even if you are a minister, you are constantly in a parliament debating, redefining, listening to criticism. Okay, because the opposition is relentless in its criticism. But in Nigeria, and these are some of the decisions that we need to start thinking through. We adopted this American presidential system. It is too expensive. There's no way you can run it without corruption, because corruption is built into it. The only way that Americans are getting away with it is that their own corruption is channeled through media and all kinds of other things. But it's not different. What it costs you to be a senator, a congressman in America, it's not different from what it's going to cost. It's even probably less here, but they are committing it to advance. But money, not money. You still have to spend money.
And they need to raise the money.
The British parliamentary system was slightly different. And that is why it would have approximated the kind of things and the vision that we have for a plural and a complex, ethnically, religiously, morally complex society like Nigeria. So today you talk about opposition. What is the reward for being in opposition in Nigeria? Okay, you cannot say, for example, that you are an opposition member of the Anambra or Imo State or Sokoto House of Assembly. Because after some time, when they start squeezing you out, you are not getting the opportunities. The chief of their community, when he comes to meeting, they will say, oh, okay, this is the chief of our opponent. And the man realizes he's been denied a car because his son is in opposition. They call and say, oh, God, we are being squeezed out though because we're in opposition. So please, Kuku, go back and serve us. So but to answer your question, it depends on where you are. I think that, and I don't want to be misquoted or misrepresented. As far as I'm concerned, we are not where we ought to be, but we are not where we were in every dimension. I can say that. So, and if I take a minimalist position, in part because of maybe where I come from and my own background and my own expectations. But if you go and speak to an Ogoni man today, okay, that's something they never dreamt about. If you ask the average Ogoni man, they'll probably tell you all they are waiting for now is a state to be created for them. But they verify that Ogoni are looking for a state. Southern Kaduna is looking for a state. Ibadan is looking for a state. What that means is people are having different experiences of what it is to be content in Nigeria. The Ogoni people will say, we now have a university in Ogoni land. Okay, our son Ledu Mite, who was the only surviving agitator of the Ogoni 9. How did he ever imagine that he would end up as a member of the board of NNPC, where the big boys are sitting? How did Ogoni ever dream that one of their daughters, Joy Nunia, will ever be something like a chairman of NDDC? So they too don't come to the table. They've gotten cutlery. They've also participated. So if you talk to those people about their needs, they're completely different. If you come to Southern Kaduna, you're talking to somebody about this government, whether they're belly full or they're belly no full, they will tell you, we may be hungry, but the sight of our university don't fool our belly. So there are metaphorical ways of looking at contentment. So, and I said something that I was in my small village. One time I called somebody, a young man who normally runs errands for me at home, whether it's giving fertilizer. I told him, I said, look, I want to buy some bags of maize to send home to my family and other people to distribute in the village among themselves. The guy said to me, no need, Bishop. I said, what do you mean? He said, no, people are happy in the village. I said, what do you mean? They are eating, and I now realize that I'm not saying there's no poverty in Nigeria, but truth be told, culturally, it is difficult for a man to die of hunger in his village. So the riffraffs who have been abandoned in the north and are flooding everywhere as beggars cannot be a definition of poverty in Nigeria, because if there are people to responsibility, things will be completely different. There's nowhere in the world where government business to feed everybody on the street. So there are differences between urban poverty and, because when I ask in my village, the people are saying whether Nigeria GDP rises to anything, it has not touched us.
Yeah, because I'm talking about the connection between the numbers and the breakfast table.
Well, it depends on whose breakfast table you are talking about. Because again, what I heard from this guy, even though it's my village, I was shocked to hear that, because the man said, and I now realize, if you are not going to a shop to buy palm oil, you are not going to a shop to buy salt, you are not going to buy the kind of things people are buying in the city, and you're just eating what you've always eaten from the beginning of time, your level of poverty will be contingent on how much you're able to farm. People might be worried that maybe the bandits stop them from farming as much, but they still have. So, but to get to your point, I don't know the figures, I don't know the maths, I don't know the GDP, I don't know the coefficient and all those numbers, I don't know. But like somebody says, statistics are like bikinis. Very often what they hide is more than what they reveal. And government will always, please give government the credit. Okay, Delegiwa used to say it is government business to hide their secrets. We journalists are business to find those secrets. So the very fact that if President Tinubu likes, he can say, Nigerians, all your problems have been solved. Okay, that's him saying everybody has electricity everywhere. Luckily for us, now we have to have fact checks. And in the president's speech, he gave numbers of what young people, what loans have been given, and the billions that have been sunk into. My brother, it is your duty as a journalist to let me know that these numbers don't match. It is the business of young people to demand for. We have a Freedom of Information Act.
Okay.
It is possible for you to go to them. If the president said that 541 children have accessed loans of what, you can go and say, where is the data? He has generated that data, maybe it's for publicity. He has gotten away with it. If he can only get away with it if we are intellectually lazy and decide not to. So for me, relinquishing our duty post about confronting government, that's the issue. But if you are blaming the president, I don't think you should blame the president. The soldiers can wake up and tell, we are finished with Boko Haram, there's nobody left. They've made a statement.
You need to fact check
it. It is left for you to say, Oga, because like I said on a television program, if you tell me now that this banditry is over, only yesterday, and cross my heart, I'm telling you the truth. Only 3 days ago, Okay, today is Saturday. On Thursday morning, I received a call from a young Fulani boy who is from around my area. I helped put him through school. But his father, who was the Ardo, that is the local chief of the Fulanis, was very close to our tradition, very, very close to, literally like part of our family. But he was killed by the bandits because they said that he was fraternizing with our people too much. Then his son took over his position. He called me to say he was working here in Abuja. Called me to say, look, he wants to replace his father. I said, oh, God, are you going to be able to? Why don't you continue? He said, no, that they are putting pressure on him because it's the first. He became the chief. Now he's been kidnapped. It's more than 3 months now. He called me last week, called me on Thursday.
From where he's kidnapped?
Where he's been kidnapped. I said, where are you? He said, I have no idea. I said, okay. So how many of you? He said, there are over 30-something or 40-something of them where he is. I said, but how? Because he keeps calling me. And I'm a bit curious. I said, how did you manage? Because I know I've been involved with this issue because my priests have been kidnapped. I have an idea of the negotiation. I know the kind of things. In my own case, actually, in the case of all my priests that have been kidnapped, we've documented all the transactions. They are on audio because I want them for our archives. Now, these guys will always tell you, sometimes they may flog you genuinely, okay, to create a sense of pain, to force your people to pay. My nephew, who lives in this town, was kidnapped, was with his mother coming back from Jos, where their father is. He was kidnapped. Now, they left his mother because she had suffered, she had had an amputation. So they let her go. We started the negotiation. Then one day, my brother who works here calls me to say, look, these guys have finally decided that they will let our nephew go. But they want, I think it was 1 million naira or so. And they've told him if we can't come to pick him at this hour, they will just kill him and throw away the body. If they lie, they can tell us where to find his dead body. Long story short, the young man was finally rescued. But he told me, I said, how was it? He said, that day that they called and said that they will kill him, they were actually sitting down and roasting a ram with the bandits. Yeah, and the bandits said they needed to conclude the deal because by Friday, they will appear as normal human beings, enter the city, and then find a few girls, enjoy themselves, and then on Sunday, they will return to the forest. So, but the point I'm making is that it is the business of government. If you can tell everybody at the local beer parlor that, me, Vin, Martin, my children, if you come to my house, my children they are sleeping on water mattresses. My house is, my wife is only if they don't want, but otherwise every month I tell my wife, here is 500,000 naira for shopping. You can tell. Fine. If somebody whispers that, say, madam, now wow, we just say this is not the thing where your husband. Now so my husband talk. You have already told your people you are friends. If it is her business to find a way of saying, call my husband, let him show you where the 500,000 he leaves for us. So what I'm saying in effect is our business. It's the job of government to say the things. And for us to say. It is our business to say, Oga, it never reach us. And that is how, because it's our business to let me expose government. Let me use that expression. That's what the media was meant to do. And that's what we do. Yeah, but as much as we can. We now have a problem in Nigeria because all of us are incorporated, including the church. Okay? There was a time one of my brothers told me in the village, he said, okay, we are worried though. It's not necessarily about my safety, but that they are complaining that you are harassing us too much. And my brother was our chief. He died in December last year. But he said, we'll turn up for me. They are saying, tell your brother to leave government alone now. They are putting pressure on us. One of the ambassadors, I won't call the country, I never met him before. They just told me he was looking for me, wanted to see me. So we finally met. Man said to me, he said, look, I have a brother. He's also making noise like you. In their country? Yes. But I have warned him to keep quiet and not to endanger my job. Okay, because government is not happy if he persists, they will withdraw me from. So God said, I'm telling my brother, keep quiet. One thing I give praise to the governments of Nigeria, successive governments. As a priest, media, so on. In comparative terms, in my own case, you raised the question, maybe I didn't answer it, is that I have found people in government who say to me, and it's, for me, my greatest consolation, it's not that I do it purposely, but people say to me, we know you are honest in your criticism, and we know we love this country. There was a time I delivered a lecture. Obasanjo was president then, and Yayele Ahmed, who was secretary to government at that time, when I finished, he came to me, he said, Kada matana the dachi amaza musha. That is, you have mixed the concoction. It is bitter, but we will drink it because it's from you. The current vice president, when my brother died, he came to our village. My village is in the middle of nowhere up till today. And he said to me, later when we were chatting, he said, you know, some of my aides said, Bishop Kuka is always criticizing government. How are you going to his village? What are you going to say? He said, I told them, he was criticizing us before we came to government. He criticized us before us. That is his job. If he stops criticizing us, then it means he has taken our card and is a member of our party. So I also sense that, and I encounter these people, and they tell me, the Sam Egu, the former governor, there was a time I had to address the students, I think alumni of University of Nigeria and Nsukka, and I think he was the chairman. So when we finished, he said to me, and in the course of his speech, he said, look, and I've never forgotten it, he said, Bishop Kuka. No, I wasn't a bishop. He said, Father Kuka, you know, we like to listen to you because not only do you criticize, you offer us some alternatives. And I took that very seriously. So freedom of speech is not freedom to talk nonsense. It is freedom to talk and hope that people will hear what you say. When there was a time people came and told me that when Buhari was about 6 months or more, they say, there's nervousness in the villa. Or they say, President, they are very unhappy with you. What have we done to Bishop Kuka? He has not even allowed us to rest. I called one of the president's aides. I said, tell the president I want to see him. But I'm going back to Sokoto tomorrow. If I'm able to see him, it has to be between now and 11 a.m. tomorrow, because my flight is 12. You cannot put a call through to a presidential aide and say you want to see the president, and you even have the courage to give time. But I don't know why I said so. So the gentleman who is my friend, he knows my relationship with Buhari, and I also know his relationship with Buhari. So he said to me, oh, Bishop, don't worry, I'll call you back in 2 hours. I said, okay. He said, the president is very busy, but I'll call you back in 2 hours. In 30 minutes, he called me. He said, Bishop, just as I finished talking to you, I was walking in the corridor, I saw the president, so I mentioned to him that you wanted to see him. And he said, the president said, Bishop Kuka, find a place for him. He said, Bishop Kuka said that he has to go back to Sokoto tomorrow. And he said, okay, find a place for him. And he said, I told the president, the diary is full. The President Buhari said, you must find a place for him. And before 11. And, you know, so the guy calls me and said, President has meetings all through, but come to the villa about 10. I said, I'll come at 9:30. And I showed up at the villa at 9:30. I'm sitting down about 10 or 10 something. Guy stops, comes to me. There was nobody. The place was empty. Came in and said, the president will now see you. When I sat down with Buhari, this Buhari that people had been, they've been making all the kind of noise that I hated government. I sat down with the president. And then, as he's still holding my hand, he said, we were walking to the chair where I was going to sit. So he was moving and holding my hand. I was following him from behind. And he said to me, I have to see you because I just came out. I said I was meeting with the army chief, or is it the chief of defense staff or whatever, of Turkey. But I had to cut short the meeting because I was told you wanted to see me. And I heard that you said, I have to see you before 11. I'm like, I'm looking at. So, and I said to him, when we sat down, I said to him jokingly, I said, sir, because I know you won't loan me a presidential plane to take me to Sokoto. I have to be in Sokoto because I have a church activity tomorrow morning. He said, okay, now here we are. We sat down and I said to him, I said, sir, the reason I won't keep you, the reason why I've come, I heard that you are unhappy with me and the things that I'm saying. And I said it to his face. I said, you know, I have followership, whether Christians or Muslim. I would not like to distract your government. Please tell me the problems you have with me so that we can talk about it. Mr. Buhari looked at me and smiled and he said, and for me, it was very powerful. He said, Bishop, you know that on any issue in Nigeria, even if you don't say a word, I know where you stand. If I have something, I will let you know. But for now, we all appreciate, we've appreciated you for a very long time. And you and I go back many years. So very often people cry more than they believe, but I'm also just making the point that public office holders, this is where diplomacy comes in. The public office holders need what they call a toe holder, people who can, it's not just about saying we are telling you the truth or speaking truth to power. And you can speak truth to power, but merely speaking will not get you results. There has to be another window. And this is why, like I said, it's the reason why we have the Kuka Center. My interest is to make sure that we help government because this is our country.
Your Lordship, there was something you said recently that I'd like us to talk a little more about. You talked about the military and the damage they had done to our country. And I'm wondering, the military left us since 1999. And the civilians have had all the time to, analyze the mistakes they made and see how, taking from that experience, make Nigeria a better country. Is it right for us to continue to blame the military, just like some Nigerians will blame the colonial masters?
How many years? 1999 to today is what?
Is 20-something years.
Okay. 20-something years. Who was our president? 1999. Obasanjo. Abi? Mm-hmm. So that's 8 years. Then Buhari did how many years?
Your Lordship, are you suggesting that these people...
Hold on, because you guys are it's about cause and effect. I hear this from soldiers and they say, we've been away for 30 years. You've not been away for 30 years, for crying out loud. You can say that I cut your leg, the scar is still there, and then you tell me, but we cut this leg over 50 years ago or 60. That's not the point. Like I said, Nigerians like to say, okay, you are saying, why are we not like India? Look at Singapore. We started like the same time with Singapore. Look at Malaysia. We started the same time with Malaysia. Look at South Korea. We started the same time. You haven't answered my question. Did any of those people go through a military coup? Did any of those people go through a military coup? Did any of those countries have a military coup? Do you understand what I'm saying? My argument and the book that was launched yesterday by General Rambo, thank God the title of it is Scars. That's why at the end of my review, I said, what are we going to do with the scars? Are we going to do plastic surgery to pretend the scars don't exist? And brother, it's not about the military as soldiers. The Nigerian military has produced some of the best, up till today, the almost near perfect gentlemen. I don't have a problem with them as soldiers. That's not the point. There can never be a good rape. I am saying that Nigeria had enough to get off the ground in 1960. And had we continued on that path, we would have surpassed Malaysia, would have surpassed Singapore, would have surpassed all the countries that Nigerians like to idolize. We will not be where we are. Why is India where it is? People make this comparison, but answer the fundamental question. There are crooks everywhere in all these countries. But were their political process disrupted by the military? Nobody can answer that question. When you now begin to calculate the damage, and it's largely psychological as much as political, because by now, this country has some of the most sophisticated, intellectually sound politicians. You can't get better than a Sami Koku. You can't get better than an Awolowo. You can't get better than a Nnamdi Azikiwe. You can't get better than some of these incredibly cracked brains who passionately love this country and had an idea about how to fix a country. Many of them were trained in that regard. Can you imagine the consistency in training and mentoring? My friend, what's his name? What's his name now? The former Minister of Labour, the former Governor of Anambra.
Chris Ngige.
Chris Ngige said something one day. He said that, look, when they were growing up as young politicians with aspiration, they were always struggling about who will carry
Ekweme's
bag. And Ekweme's blessings passed on to him. And so on. It is hopeful that his blessings... That system was disrupted. Even, can you imagine, had we stopped at Ekweme in 1979, and had the military not come back in 1983, the Igbos would not be talking today about wanting a president, because the dynamics would have produced something different. So what I'm saying is that this incalculable damage was done because of the nature of what the military is. And for me, as I say, it's not, there can be a good or a bad coup. Well, maybe I shouldn't say so, but in measurable terms, from the point of view of democracy, every time, how do you explain the fact that from 1914 till today, we have still not settled the issue of a constitution? Why? Why are we debating a constitution for how many years now? Because every time the military came, it meant for almost 30 years our constitution was in suspended animation. The rule of men replaced the rule of law. Every time the military came, they suspended the constitution, they suspended the National Assembly. And in my book, Witness to Justice, I made a point of what I call the tribunalization of justice. That is that military tribunals became a substitute for the judiciary. And many judges were complicit by going to become chairmen of tribunals. We are sitting here.
But your lordship.
So, hold on. So the point is not, you're comparing oranges and apples. Because for me, it's not a question of even the outcome. It is the decapitation of the institution. We would not be talking today about the quality of our bureaucracy. My brother, ask yourself, how long did Lee Kuan Yew stay as president? Lee Kuan Yew was president from 1968 or 69.
For a very long time.
For over 30 years. Even when he left, and he knew he wanted his son to take over, but his son was not ready. Another person he brought in, almost like Babangida and Shonekom, he brought the president, but he still maintained the position of what he invented, what he called mentor minister. Okay. They were conducting elections. He was winning elections. In the same way that Rwanda has been conducting elections, people are winning elections. But in all of these countries, the percentage of the population is about the population of many local governments in Nigeria. I'm saying that had the military not intervened, we could have made our mistakes. But we wouldn't have gone into a civil war. And we would not be nurturing the deep resentment and bitterness that many Igbo people cannot recover from. And the sentiments are legitimate. They are legitimate. When the queen came here, was it not Ojuku's vehicle that was borrowed to carry the queen? So if you ask yourself, where will the Igbos have been today? Let me put it that way. Where will the intellectuals have been today? Look at the kind of country that was being built at that time. Who was the vice chancellor of the University of Ibadan? He was an Igbo man.
But your lordship, are we going to continue talking about what we lost and not move forward? Or the civilians not taking charge?
No. See, you can talk about what you lost depending on the circumstances that you lost. If you lost 10 million naira in a gamble or in a bet from Bet Niger, you'll be too ashamed to tell your wife. But if you lost 10 million through the crookedness of your son or something, the hurt is different. So don't quantify the loss. We're not talking, because you see, people keep making this point, and I want us to subject it to the rigors of intellectualism that it deserves. That is, why are we where we are today? So don't tell me, because when the military left, there was a lot of debate. People, the slush fund, people of the military, they almost took over the banking business. So we're not, but I'm also telling you that there must be a reason. The reason why Obasanjo was a product of the military, not a product of the democratic process. The PDP was quickly put together to provide a Trojan horse for Obasanjo to move and become. We all know that. This is not democracy in the way and manner that we're talking about. How does it happen that every president in Nigeria has a track record of jumping from one party, because of the volatility in the system? So what I'm saying is that if we had maintained that strategy, let me tell you what would have happened in Nigeria. By now, politics would not be so corrosive. Leadership would have emerged, because just like the Ngiges can talk about the sense of validation from following Ekweme, there will be people who probably would have also been in office because of following Ngige. And that is how the trajectory, whether it's Macron in France, or whether all of these guys will tell you the handbags of those they were carrying before they got to where they are. In Nigeria, the coup culture floods our political process today. That's why elections are largely a coup. Because already the violence that our elections produces is largely tied to the violence, the culture of violence that was inserted into our politics through the military. And I'm saying, remember that in our constitution, the reason why the military exists and they are monopolizing violence, it is to protect us. But once those guns were turned on one another, you read the books.
But your lordship, the civilians, even if it's 2 years or 3 years that they've been in power, they are also not law abiding.
No,
they are not also respecting the constitution.
No. Again, why is that?
Even though they don't carry guns, they are doing so much damage as much as the soldiers.
Hold on. In political science, it's what is called political culture. And culture derives from endlessly repeating certain activities, so on and so forth. Culture in Yoruba land, for example, has told you how to greet a man that is older than you, how you respect. Many Yoruba people will do that without thinking. There are things that culture has taught us, and because you saw other people do it, and so on and so forth. What I'm saying, don't confuse the military. The civilian administration may even be more corrupt, and it is the case. But that's not the issue. The issue is, how do you have a say in who governs you? Because that's the basis of democracy. That's why it is called representative. So if the day nobody had a say in who became a head of state during, and most of them we only had their names.
Your lordship, we still don't have a say in who becomes president.
No, but
we are saying that even today's politicians are more military. How do I say it? They are more military than the military.
That is a consequence. It's not a cause. And in causality, let me explain to you. I'm still saying, you understand? I'm still saying that there are certain things that follow you. We can focus on the tangibles like corruption. And people say, you see, the bridges were built by the military. Or some of the good roads we have today were built by the military. Oh God, that is not the issue. How do people remember Hitler today? How do they remember Hitler? Hitler left Germany with the best infrastructure till today. In fact, I went to Geneva, and I was at the UN place in Geneva. And the person who was taking me around said something very interesting. I don't know whether it is true, but he said that when they were building the headquarters with money from different countries, they said they assigned different budgets to different countries. But to punish Hitler, they asked them to build the toilets. But the guy who was taking me, and he was a white man, he said to me, of everything in this building has changed except the toilet because of the quality. So, secondly, why did we have to fight apartheid? Why? What for? After all, the infrastructure in South Africa today is diminishing because freedom has come to black people, as you know very well. If it is infrastructure, Nigerians are still shamelessly running to South Africa. They have investment there. Without apartheid, would we have had the investments? The critical ingredient in all this, my brother, is freedom. Freedom to choose foolishly, freedom to choose badly. Your father could have been the richest man in Igbo land. But it's a different matter. Could he have just brought a girl and say, I am your father, I will pay the dowry, here is your wife? You would naturally have said, Baba, I'm young, I'm old, I can choose for myself. What coups denied us? And I want you to understand that. So, because people are measuring the quantifiables, and they are not. The most important thing in democracy is the freedom it gives you. And it doesn't matter how you use that freedom. So I'm saying, and don't tell me, it's not about blaming the military or blaming, it's about, even if a bunch of priests are taking over government illegally, it will not be right. So my criticism, and as I said, it's an intellectual exercise. Let's debate it. Don't, because people tend to want to cut me, hey, but we are being empowered, but they thought the military is even doing. That's not the point. The point is that you lost your moral authority, your moral right to kill an armed robber, if you yourself used a gun to get to power.
It's something that we need to talk about.
And the good thing, sorry, let me just end. The good news is that we've been on this road for over 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
As evidence, even the military now realizes it has lost its appetite for power. Go back and read the books written, not my opinion, read the books written by the military themselves. Read what General Bameyi wrote. Read what General Irabo has just written. Read and take any of the books written by the entire people, and you will hear them say with much regret what damage their involvement in politics, how they lost their spirit. I was a member of the panel. And because of these colonels and lieutenant colonels who became governors, they are being in custody of so much power, meant that generals, because there was a dissonance. I remember being in Jos for an event, and then they told me, I went to the airport, they said the flight was cancelled. I was just about to leave when they said, somebody said to me, they heard that there are some generals who are in Jos, and that a plane will come. So I decided to sit down. Luckily, the general, there were people I knew. So I just sat down with them, we were chatting. And then all of a sudden, the governor came in. And the governor was, I think, a lieutenant colonel or a colonel. There is a seat there where the Nigerian flag is hanging and the military, whatever, was hanging, where only the governor can sit. And here we were with all these big generals. They couldn't sit on that seat. And when the governor entered, all of them had to stand up. Generals, how do you explain that? It's like saying bishops are holding a meeting, for example, and then a priest comes in and all the bishops have to stand up. But these governors had to, that was for me one of the most powerful statements. Something was wrong. But these people had to stand up because the governor of the state.
Okay, my lord. How do we make progress?
We make progress.
The damage is done. How do we make progress?
I don't know whether to call it even a damage. Yes.
Yeah. So how do we grow? How do we make this democracy enduring?
The sign that we are growing is that, again, like I said, even the soldiers themselves have come to terms with the fact that military rule was a departure from where we ought to be going. We can't hold it against them. It's gone. But in our analysis of cause and effect, we must, without making excuses, acknowledge. Okay, if in the course of your study in secondary school, you fell down and you lost an eye, you might correlate that with your results. Okay, your ability to, if you had had 2 eyes, your result would have been different. It doesn't change you, but you recognize that point. But the good news is that after this number of years, the military, we have not heard of an attempt, even an attempted coup. Nor have we heard about Nigerians asking the military to come. So even the fact that we are stumbling and fumbling and not doing elections well, and so we must wake up like Jesus Christ falling 3 times on the stations of the cross and continue the journey. So for me, the very fact that even the military has lost the appetite to want power, we've made some success. The very fact that Nigerians are still saying we will struggle is a plus. I end here. There's a couple, young, well, not a young couple, but they were rather illiterate. So the woman came to complain to me about problem with her husband, as usual. So we sat down, we discussed the matter. So the husband said, okay, everything is forgiven, let them continue. So 1 month or so later, I saw the woman in the church. I said, Madam, how now? She's not a literate, I mean, a very literate person, but I will never forget what she said. I said, Madam, how now? He said, oh, fine. So how are things in the house? He said, Father, we are still in a state of no war, no peace. so it is that at least we haven't parted, but we are still working. So everything is a work in progress. And I want, this is.
So are you suggesting that Nigeria is at a stage of no war, no peace, no progress, no...
Exactly, but that, and the reason why there's no war, no peace is maybe the promises that both of them made to one another when I reconciled them, maybe certain things have not fallen in place, but at least they are not fighting, they are still together. So, and I think this country, the president said we have turned the corner. Well, if you turn the corner, there's still a long way, but it just means that turning the corner gives you better visibility. I think the challenge that lies before us now is for the presidency, for Nigeria to organize the resources of this country in a way that does not turn us into governance, into a mere distribution agency. That the resources of this country can be more judiciously applied, especially as the president himself has accepted and admitted that we now have resources. So this crazy road, to this coastal road they are talking about, I'm very happy about it. You know why? I've called Engineer Umahi not once, not twice, and I commend him. No, people are talking. My position is that even if they don't build the road, we will not see the money. They will still chop the money.
So let them build it.
So they might as well build it. And I'm convinced, let me tell you one thing. If by the grace of, if this government continues with that speed and we see railways and we see roads and we see infrastructure in Nigeria, let me tell you, 60% of the problems of Nigeria will literally subside once we see good road, we see railways, we see electricity, and we can take it for granted. Because look, 90% of the young, energetic Nigerians, exceptionally brilliant group of young people, they're not looking for government jobs. So many of these kids, my nephew, he lives in this town. When he graduated, he came to me and said, Uncle, don't worry, just leave me. I'm not looking for a job. And he represents millions of young people who just want a decent space to express themselves.
A conducive environment.
Oh, absolutely. My niece who just left, before I came down here, what is she coming to tell me? She's not even talking, she's graduating this year. Next month. But she's telling me, because she kept saying, I want to come and see your uncle. I said, okay, come. So I gave her an appointment. Interestingly, she's telling me about things she wants to do, none of which includes looking for a job from government. She's not saying to me, oh, use your influence to find me a job. I want to work in Central Bank. I want to work. She just says to me, it's what I want to do. She's already clear in her, and she represents millions of young people.
Your Lordship, time is never enough when we talk. And today is one of those days. I wish we will have more time and more time to talk. But very soon, you're going to be retiring as bishop. you're getting quite older and older.
Absolutely.
So are you thinking about?
Oh,
are you thinking about retirement when it comes? Well, because I know you're one person who is already thinking about it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I am going. I have, if we follow the Catholic Church's calendar, in 2 years' time or a year and something, I'll be 75. If God spares my life, I will let the Holy Father know. I've done my own little best. Now it's time for somebody else to, and it will be left for the authorities to decide. But I can tell you that my other life will only just get started.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I have all kinds of things I want to do, including I might actually put really more challenging, because the dreams and the vision I have for the Coca Center, you know, I want this center to be in not too distant future, you know, a place of ideas, a place with enough impact for Nigeria and for Africa. Because I know, you know, we blame the politicians, we blame the civil service. There's a lot of bad things going on. But I always pay attention to some of those men and women who are breaking their back and doing extraordinary job. We blame the police, we blame the military, but we never forget that these guys are busy out of love for this country, struggling to do good. So my hope is that when I finally am no longer bishop, I will still remain of service to the church, because retirement doesn't mean you still remain a member of the conference. But by the grace of God, if I'm healthy, still strong enough, I've set my eyes to greater places. And hopefully, that's why, like I said, this place, I hope that one can be a source of inspiration and encouragement, especially to my constituency, the church. Because we are producing some of the most intellectually exciting young people. My son, their younger brother, is an example. So my interest will be to create more spaces, open up more spaces, facilitate those young people occupying the space. In that way, we can have almost like a bit of a seamless transition. So for me, I'm looking forward, but also hoping, as I said, that one is
an active retirement.
Active retirement, absolutely. God gives us everything.
And just to remind you that we have a place for your signature TV.
All right. I mean, I'll take any offer, because now if I'm in retirement, everything now that happens, you have to pay. You know, because Sokoto will no longer
just a little gift to thank you for giving us all this time. Really nothing much. You don't need to open it.
I need the audience to see. So when they see my beautiful pen, they will know that. Thank you very much. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And please keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Look, it's people like you and this effort that we take for granted in Nigeria. These are the things that inspire me, because so many of you young people are doing extraordinary things. It's just a question of building the confidence and bringing all of this together.
Thank you, Your Lordship. I've been speaking with...
Thank you, cameraman. Thank you very much.
I've been speaking with Bishop Matthew Kuka. Sometimes I don't want to limit him with his diocese. He is a citizen of Nigeria and a citizen of the world.